Hello everyone, welcome to What If Issei was the veteran army soldier and joined Sekirei Part 1. Before we start, please go support DavidArmandoLopezRey for writing that awesome fanfic. Now let's begin. This is the translated version I made. There will be some wrong he or she calling here because it's translated, so let me clear this. Issei is a male in this story. Prologue. Somewhere. How many times have I seen death in the face? How many times have I seen people I could call comrade fall before my eyes? How many times have I left one damn battlefield to enter another? I'm only 15 years old and my hands are stained with the blood of countless people. How many people have I killed? I don't know, I haven't stopped to count. I'm a mercenary, my job is to kill whoever I target. Since when have I been in this life of killing or being killed? For as long as I can remember. I understand that I am an orphan, make no mistake, I had parents who must have loved me and wanted my life to be different. But they are dead. Dead for 12 years. I was only 3 years old when my parents died. How? I don't know, the orphanage where I grew up only said that my parents died in an accident. They will say, poor thing, losing your parents at such a young age, without being able to remember them. But I can't, my memory isn't that of a genius to remember what happened when I shit in my diapers. I live my life as I can, a hard life after all. At the age of 5, discovering the evil of people. How? Easy, the orphanage where he lived was a cover for something much worse. The place where homeless children were welcomed, little ones with the hope of having a new life. Children who never had parents and were looking forward to finding good people to call mom and dad. Unfortunately, none of that would happen. Children between the ages of 18 and 19 were sold to rich people looking for pets. The older ones were forced to grow or do worse things to maintain the orphanage. The little ones who were sold would suffer. Some of us were lucky and were used as slaves. Others didn't have it so easy. Some were killed to extract their organs and sell them on the black market. Others were used as guinea pigs for some mad scientists who wanted to experiment with new germs. Others, like me, were sent to concentration camps where they were forced to become murderers. Huge camps far from the world where we were molded into killing machines. Day and night we were trained to be mercenaries, simple dogs that sent the most recent political conflicts. They pushed our bodies to the limit, hitting us, cutting us, breaking our bones. All to become cold-blooded beings who would not hesitate to kill. They taught us to fight with firearms and knives. They put us in pairs of 2 to practice knife fighting. I always excelled in that part, no one could beat me when I had a knife in my hand. They taught us how to assemble, disassemble, clean and everything one needs to know about a weapon. Shooting practice with any kind of weapon. Many broke fingers or joints from the recoil of the weapon. We were taught in the crudest and coldest way how to detach ourselves from our emotions. With each passing year, the children stopped being children, their souls and minds were broken by the torture that our instructors called training. Others did not go so far, they fell into madness and tried to escape or attack the instructors. Bang. For them everything was over in a second, they killed them without hesitation. After all, if a toy gets damaged we just have to replace it with another one was what the instructors said. When they reached the age of 13, a test was carried out. A maturity test as they call it. They sent a group of 100 boys and girls into a forest and the only thing they gave us was a military bag. Inside we found medicines, some food, a military knife and a firearm, a .43 caliber Ram P99 pistol, and several spare rounds of ammunition. There the horror begins. The test was to kill each other, only 10 could return, we had to fight for our lives, those we trained with became our enemies. The test would last 2 hours, if by that time there were not only 10 left. They would completely burn the forest down, killing anyone still inside. But that all hell broke loose. Many died in the first few minutes in a desperate attempt to escape. After all, many thought, there's no way they can know what we're doing. If we escape, we'll be free once and for all. Poor fools, if they were monitoring us, cameras had been installed. Everything we said and said was heard. The fools who tried to escape were found and shot to death. As punishment the time was reduced to 1 hour. With the clock against us we were forced to act. Traps, surprise attacks, betrayals. In that forest, everything was done, everything in order to survive. In the end, me and 9 others survived. When we returned, they congratulated us and told us that we were now adult men and women and that now it was our turn to live the life of adults. They sold us to mercenary syndicates. I don't know what happened to the others, it's not like I care. In the following years I was involved in countless conflicts. Mate, keep killing and killing, before the eyes of my squad mates, I was a heartless monster. I didn't show any reaction when killing, nor when doing anything else, I guess those 10 years inside that hell were responsible for completely erasing my emotions. Every place I was sent to become a carnage. My targets, whether women, children or the elderly, if they ordered me to kill them, I did it without hesitation. I've come from places that would make any grown man traumatized. Iraq, Russia, China, North Korea, Syria, it doesn't matter where it was. Over time I was nicknamed God of Death or Shinigami because I was Oriental. Over time, a group was formed with which they worked happily, Dead Shadow, that was what they called us, as some said, the elite of the elite among mercenaries. Many times I had problems because the only one who came back alive. But with them, I had nothing to worry about, each one was professional and knew what they were doing. That brings us to our latest mission, our last mission together. Chapter 1. Last mission. Shanghai. Our mission would be a simple one. We had to recover some stolen data from the Japanese company, MBI, a company that had recently risen and taken the world by storm and gained great influence in the branches of technology and medicine. The group unrelated to the Chinese government had apparently stolen extremely important data about a top-secret MBI project. What he did not count on was that a rebel group would start a coup d'etat and war would break out. The rebels would profit from it and sell the stolen MBI information to some unknown country. Project S. Who came up with the name? Asked a man in his 30s, of Russian nationality, white hair and of great physical build. It's a Boris company, they pay us to ask questions, answered a young man of 24 years of age, of American nationality, short black hair, glasses and an average physical build. How much longer until we reach our destination? We've been in this damn APC for hours. Said a woman, about 28, with long black hair tied in a ponytail, of average build and Chinese nationality. Come on Shuang, we haven't been here that long, it's only been 20 minutes since we got to the base, follow William's example and read a book told to a young man in his 20s, with short grey hair, average build and Japanese nationality. What do you expect me to read? The only books here are light novels and they're all in English, unlike all of you I don't speak or read every damn language fluently, the woman complained. Then why don't you imitate Issei, he's been quiet the whole time, said Boris. In the back of the vehicle was a young man with brown hair, around 15 years old, with a muscular build slightly older than his age. Note. The physique that Ichigo has after finishing the Arrancar saga. The young Japanese approached the chestnut tree. What's wrong Takashi? William asked, looking away from the book. Issei is asleep, Takashi said. How can he be asleep if his eyes are open? Shuang exclaimed. Well, he's asleep, said the young man. The chestnut was completely asleep with his eyes open. The rest were about to say something, but the transport stopped. We arrived, said the brown-haired boy. Are you waking up just now? Said the Chinese woman. Shuang, stop the scandal, said the brown-haired man standing up and opening the back of the vehicle. Are you ready? Affirmative, answered the Russian. Affirmative, the American. Ready to party, the Chinese woman. Let's go, comrade, said the young Japanese. Okay, Shadow dead on the move. With those words everyone took their weapons and got out of the vehicle. The place where the rebels would sell the MBI information was an 80-story hotel, right on the top floor where the transaction would take place. Issei and the rest of the Shadow Dead parked the transport vehicle 1 block before the target location. The plan is simple. Get in, clear the area, eliminate any hostile elements, recover the data, get out and head to the extraction point. Everyone was ready, weapons checked, ammunition and dressed in clothes similar to SWAT, only without a helmet and on the back a logo, a skull covered by a black cloth. Use. Report, said Issei. As the leader of the group he needed all the information possible. One of the spy drones that MBI provided us detected 20 people on the floor, said William, showing a digital panel on the top floor of the hotel. The information is on several hard drives, these are transported in different briefcases. William pointed to 3 of the heat signatures on the screen. These 3 protect the briefcases. The surroundings. We checked the roofs of the surrounding buildings, there is no sign of snipers, said Shuang, most of the armed forces are repelling the insurgents. Once the package is secured, that gives us free rein to the extraction point, said Issei. The floors below the target. We found heavily armed resistance, the building is full of them, we can't just go in like crazy, said Boris. However, if we manage to neutralize those at the entrance we can get hold of the cargo elevator, it will take us up to 3 floors away from the objective, from there we will have to manage. How do we proceed? Takashi and I will neutralize those at the entrance, Boris, William and Shuang will go through the back parts. Here is the building's fuse box, destroy it and leave the building in darkness, get rid of anyone who interferes. Affirmative, the 3 of them answered. Once Takashi and I get the elevator, head here, said Issei, pointing with his finger at a point on the digital map of the hotel. Here we can regroup and go up all together. After a quick inspection of their equipment, the group split up and began the mission. The guards remained alert, as they understood they had to defend this position until midnight. Once past midnight they would be free to leave. Unfortunately, the shadow of death had already fallen upon them. Ayush. Crack. The lights in the hall went out, exploded, and the power in the entire building was cut off. "Who's there?" The guards pointed their rifles in all directions. "Ah!" The scream of death was heard. The guard closest to the cargo elevator heard the screams of his companions. As a good soldier, he knew that they were under attack. The members protecting the place were being killed one by one. "T catch me without a fight, you damn bastards." The guard set up a barricade next to the elevator, waiting patiently for someone to focus on the sights of his rifle. Luckily he had a night vision scope on his gun, he just had to wait. A human silhouette appeared at the entrance, and without hesitating for a second he opened fire. Certain letter. "Suck that hick, motherfucker." Cautiously he approached the body, kicking it to make sure it didn't move. Moving the corpse slightly, he noticed that it was one of his companions. But what the hell? The dark shadow placed himself behind the guard, holding him from behind, and with a quick movement cut his throat from side to side. The soldier was dying. In his last moments he could see a head of brown hair and a face devoid of emotions. The last guard on that floor was dead, all clear. "Black leader here, area clear," Issei said through his communicator. "Dear American Eagle, all clean. Everything ready?" Takashi asked as he arrived. "Clear, William and the others are on their way. Did you disable the main elevator?" "All set. I took the liberty of leaving you a little surprise." "As long as it doesn't damage the target, there will be no problems," Issei said simply. "Come on, Issei, always is inherent to everything around you as always. We are mercenaries, not robots. We have emotions." Takashi looked at the slaughtered corpse. Even if it is for a few moments, he doubts about taking a life. "We already discussed this before, Takashi. I don't doubt, I just act." The cargo elevator arrived. It was just a matter of William, Boris and Shuang arriving. The Shadow Dead group had already reached the floor where they would go down, and as expected. Certain letter. They were receiving a warm welcome. "Were we expecting so much company?" Shuang exclaimed. The situation was certainly unfavorable for them. They were trapped and had no way to escape. Trapped inside the cargo elevator using its half-open doors as a shield. "Any plans to not end up like a bucking sower?" said Boris. "In fact we have one," said Issei, taking out a grenade. "I'll throw it and you close the elevator door." "Are you crazy?" William exclaimed. "Is this a rhetorical question?" Issei replied. "If he throws the grenade that close, this damn elevator will be our coffin. It's that, or end up as sowers. We have a 50-50 chance." Without waiting for a response from his companions, Issei threw the grenade at his enemies. Damn. Boris and William used their strength to force the elevator doors to close. The rebels saw the grenade fall at their feet and ran to take shelter from the explosion. Boom. The grenade exploded, releasing shrapnel that killed some of the rebels. Now. The cargo elevator doors opened again. Issei and the rest of the dead shadows stepped out. Bang. 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 An exchange of fire between both groups. The advantage was for Issei and his group. The grenade left those nearby injured and stunned. He just had to eliminate those blocking the way and head to the top floor. Bang. Issei fired bursts with his Heckler and Koch HK-416. The shots were accurate, one shot to the head, and that was it for the rebels. "Keep moving forward," Issei exclaimed as he fired. But the enemies on that floor eliminated, Issei and the rest followed the advance to the upper floors. Turning into a corridor, a rebel appeared and hit Issei, forcing him to drop his weapon, starting a fist fight. Issei Takashi tried to help, but the sudden appearance of reinforcements forced the others to repel the attack. Issei and the insurgent exchanged blows, both had to move, or else they would end up being easy targets. Issei struck with his right, a blow with his left, a kick to the insurgent's knee. The insurgent struck, Issei stopped him with his arm, then grabbed the insurgent's arm and broke his wrist. Still in great pain, the insurgent threw a kick at Issei's legs. Issei jumped, dodging the kick. Issei then hit the insurgent's chin with an uppercut. The insurgent fell to his knees. Issei took advantage and placed himself behind him and crack. He quickly snapped the neck, then grabbed the corpse and placed it in front of him like a shield. Bang. Bang. An insurgent shoots at Issei. The corpse received 3 bullet impacts. Issei took the gun from the corpse's holster and shot at the insurgent, hitting him in the head. "Don't lose your weapon, kid," Shuang exclaimed, throwing it at Issei. As expected, all the fuss they made caused more reinforcements to start coming, as well as those who were on the top floor to barricade themselves there. "Any plan so they don't kill us before we get there?" Takashi. "That. You said you prepared a surprise down there, right? The gift should arrive in a matter of seconds," Takashi said, smiling widely. "How long until the bucking elevator arrives?" exclaimed an insurgent. Different groups were mobilized at the time he had sneaked into the building and planned to sabotage the exchange of the stolen information. The elevator doors opened and inside they received a very unpleasant surprise. Buong. You planted a bucking bomb in the elevators. Shuang shouted, good genius, you ruined our exit method. The explosion, rather than benefiting, ended up putting the group in a difficult position. The only way out left was via the stairs, but it would mean having to get past more enemy reinforcements. Change of plans. Issei began to speak. He has the models of the combat suit that the MBI gave us on. Yes, they all answered. Then there is no need to worry about how to get out. There was no time to ask, they reached the top floor. Issei and the rest stood on either side of the door with their backs against the wall. So, how do we find out? Most likely, if we show our heads even a little, they'll shoot us with everything they have, said Boris. Did you bring flashbang? Issei asked. I don't leave the house without them, Takashi exclaimed. It was not for anything that he was the explosive specialist of the group. How will you use them? Try to open the door and you'll be like Swiss cheese. Boris, William, create a distraction. Take this. William gave them some packages. They are explosive bombs, stick them on the wall next to the room and they will give us enough time to launch these beauties. Only you guys come up with these crazy ideas, William complained, taking the explosives. The explosives were ready, with which they would blow up the wall and kill any poor soul who found himself near that wall. William and Boris returned and stood by the door, handing the detonator to Takashi. It's show time, said Takashi, pulling the trigger of the detonator. Stupid. Clear. The whole place is clear, Takashi reported. Issei along with the rest of Dead Shadow secured the place, with the distraction of the explosives and the flashbang they managed to eliminate all the enemies in the room and take the briefcases that carried the information. We will proceed to leave here as soon as possible, Issei reported. How are we going to do it? That idiot Takashi destroyed the elevator and if we go down the stairs we'll run into more enemies, Shuang exclaimed. Easy, Issei shot at the windows. These suits that the MBI gave us have the ability to glide. We just have to jump from here, maneuver a little, and fall near that river over there, said Issei pointing. These things had that? The members of Dead Shadow asked. Not reading the report, right? Well. Issei gave a tired sigh. In any case, it's better that we leave quickly so that, but the brown-haired boy couldn't finish the sentence since. Lame. Certainly. Reinforcements arrived and began to open fire on them. Issei and the others took up a defensive position, opening fire on the insurgents. Now what? How are we going to get out of here? These guys won't give us time to get out through the window, said William. We peek out even a little and we'll end up like Swiss cheese, said Takashi. You go ahead, I'll stay and give you time, said Boris. Hey? Are you crazy? If you stay, they will kill you, Shuang exclaimed. We're moving, Boris, we'll leave it to you, said Issei, taking one of the briefcases and waiting for the moment. Wait, are you going to leave Boris to his fate? Shuang exclaimed angrily, even more so when she saw that her leader did not show any expression at abandoning a companion. Shuang, Issei is doing the right thing, leave now, said Boris, standing up for some reason with difficulty. Boris? What's wrong? William asked, but since he is the team doctor he managed to get an idea of what was happening. When those insurgents came in, I got shot a few times, they pierced a lung, I woe and apostrophe T get out of this, said Boris, a line of blood coming out of the corner of his mouth. Issei, did you notice it? Takashi asked. Note. All this conversation occurs while they continue shooting at the insurgents. Yes, Issei answered. We have to say Shuang. Go away now, exclaimed Boris. Damn it, Takashi exclaimed annoyed. They would lose a partner without being able to do anything. Boris, you were always someone very serious, but you were a partner, I can't leave you here. I said I couldn't stand your childish attitude. Takashi, you were the closest thing to a younger brother to me, told Boris, his vision of him beginning to fail. Get out of here, go out and complete this mission. Takashi approached Boris and placed something in his hand. Boris for his part withdrew one of his army badges and gave it to Takashi. Swallowing their anger and helplessness, the rest of the Shadow Dead grabbed the briefcases, strapped them tightly to their backs, and began running toward the window. The insurgents turned their weapons on Issei and the other remaining members of Shadow Dead. As if they would let them, Boris shouted with his last strength, pulling the trigger of his gun and opening fire on the insurgents. Certainly. Certain letter. The exchange of fire began. Boris would fail, but he would take as many as he could with them. Issei and the rest jumped out of the window. It would be a free fall of many meters. They took a falling position with their arms and legs extended. How the hell do we activate the gliding gadget? Takashi shouted as they fell. There's a little trigger next to the heart, just pull it. By doing what their leader said, the combat suits took shape just like a wingsuit. They just had to glide towards the nearest river and then return to the vehicle to reach the extraction point. Stupid. An explosion was heard behind them. If they had time to turn around, they would have seen the building beginning to collapse on itself. A few moments earlier, on the top floor, Boris killed a large number of insurgents, but in the process he was shot in the shoulders, legs and sides. The Russian's large body fell heavily to the ground, his vision of him was completely dark, he could hear the screams of the Chinese insurgents surrounding him. Life slowly left his body. I don't regret anything, living a life the way I wanted, without anyone's control, thought Boris. This damn guy stole the merchandise and killed our comrades, shouted an insurgent, kicking Boris on the sides. Leave it alone, he's one more dead man, now we have to find his companions and recover the merchandise. See, Boris said weakly. This guy isn't dead yet. The insurgents pointed their guns at Boris, one approached. Last words. Brought you. Boris opened the palm of his right hand, it had a detonator. Shit. Click. Stupid. Ed Shadow had a bad landing, the explosion caused them to go off course and end up in the middle of the main street, but miraculously, no one else died. Damn, I think my leg is broken, said William, trying to stand up but feeling a very intense pain when putting pressure on his right leg. What the hell happened to the building? Shuang asked, helping William to stand up. I placed some bombs in the building, revealed Takashi. I gave the detonator to Boris before jumping. We have to continue, the explosion and the fall of the building will attract unwanted guests, said Issei, managing to hear the sound of a helicopter. We have to get to the APC as quickly as possible, William's leg is horrible, said Shuang, helping William. Takashi, you secure the area, if possible bring the APC, Shuang and I will help William, we lost Boris, I don't plan on losing anyone else. Understood. Takashi began to run in the direction where they left the ACP. Let's go on the count of 1, 2. Issei pulled William to his feet. William let out a cry of pain. Stop being such a crybaby, Shuang said. We have to move, that helicopter sounds very close, said Issei, beginning to feel uneasy. Issei and Shuang began to walk in the same direction Takashi left, at a slightly fast pace. Wrong. To everyone's relief, Takashi was already riding back in the APC. Damn, that was fast, Shuang said. We have to go fast, before Issei said, but then. Bang. The helicopter had already spotted them, opening fire on them. Damn, Issei shouted. They began to run towards the vehicle with all their power. Takashi had to turn the vehicle, because if he didn't there was a chance that they would shoot him. Just a little more. The helicopter was about to pass over them, starting to shoot. Bang. A bullet pierced William's head, killing him instantly. Damn it, Issei shouted, he had just lost another partner. Damn, Shuang exclaimed. Shuang, take the briefcase and run, Issei exclaimed, pointing his gun at the helicopter. Did you lose your mind? I'll act as decoy, get on the ACP, and get to the extraction point, Issei exclaimed, opening fire on the helicopter. Approach. Ayush. The bullets did not have much effect against the helicopter, some shots hit the pilot's window, but did not penetrate deeply enough to kill him. Move already, that's an order, Issei shouted. Shuang gritted her teeth in frustration, doing as Issei said. He took the 2 briefcases and started running to the ACP. Takashi, start. But Issei. These are Issei's orders, he will give us a few moments, your job is to get to the extraction point. Takashi looked back and could see the brown-haired boy running with all his might in another direction, firing the last bullet he had left. This is bucking shit, Takashi exclaimed, stepping on the accelerator. The ACP started up and, taking advantage of the minimal time available, drove through the narrow streets to lose the helicopter. Approach. Issei ran with all his might. Just a few moments ago he ran out of ammunition for his rifle. And to make matters worse, a sharp turn around a corner left him in the open, with nowhere to hide. Ah, damn it, I'm a bucking target right now, Issei shouted. The helicopter was hot on its heels, firing all of its arsenal. Then Issei saw something that would be his salvation. Issei increased the pace, running a little faster. The target, a discarded motorcycle that was running. Issei ran, arrived, stopped her, got on them and started walking. The bike started off at full speed. Damn, I gained some speed with the bike, but I can't get that bucking helicopter off of me. Issei maneuvered the motorcycle, narrowly avoiding the bullets fired by the helicopter. Yes, I remember correctly, it's the only option I have left. Issei turned left at a corner. The helicopter took off as the buildings could be a problem. It's good that he followed me, Takashi and Shuang will be able to reach the extraction point without any problem, but why is he so insistent on trying to kill me? Issei thought. Issei was speeding along the track, the sound of gunshots and explosions clearly audible. I arrived, Issei continued straight ahead. The place he arrived at was the field where Chinese government forces were confronting the insurgents. Soldiers, insurgents, tanks, military vehicles, gunshots and lots of explosions everywhere. I have to lose sight, stupid. The car near Issei exploded, caused by a tank firing. If he had delayed a little, he would have been shot or the motorcycle would have been caught in the car's explosion. Bong. Failure. Ayush. Gunshots were coming from all directions. Issei had to be careful, or a stray bullet would end it all. The helicopter continued its pursuit. The soldiers on the ground aimed their rocket launchers at it, but none of them managed to shoot since the helicopter or someone else was shooting at them. "DCH, I have to get rid of that bucking helicopter once and for all," said Issei, accelerating the bike. The motorcycle was traveling at high speed, dodging guerrillas, assault vehicles belonging to both the Chinese government and insurgent forces, and cars that were destroyed. Wrong. Approach. The helicopter's shots were killing everyone in their path, but they were unable to hit Issei. Issei approached a ramp of a building under construction, entered through the ramp, and went up a few floors. The helicopter is right next to it, firing from the sides. Issei accelerated, and the bike jumped at the end of the ramp, falling on the roof of another building, continuing forward until it fell on the roof of a smaller building. Issei already had a plan, it was just a matter of waiting for the moment. Stupid. Apparently the helicopter shots caught the attention of both sides, as both began shooting at the motorcycle and the helicopter. Now this gets even worse, Issei maneuvered the bike in a way that was far superior to a professional, dodging every possible ending. Shoot. A group of Chinese soldiers positioned themselves in front of Issei and pointed their weapons. "Oh. Just what I needed." Issei took out the gun he had on his side and shot at the soldiers. Bang bang bang. The shots were accurate, one shot in the head each even at that distance. Issei leaned the bike to the right, almost touching the ground, then he passed by the corpses of the soldiers and picked up a weapon from one of them. "But this I will take down that pesky helicopter," exclaimed Issei. The weapon he picked up was an M79 grenade launcher shotgun. "I only have one shot." Issei braked, the helicopter was facing him, coming in a dive towards him, aiming its missiles. As Takashi would say, "It's showtime." Issei accelerated. Both were preparing to end this, a fight turned out. The motorcycle was going at full speed, the helicopter fired its missiles. Issei turned the bike to the left, dodging the impact, the missile hit a tank, blowing it to pieces. Issei increased the bike's maximum speed, climbing up the rubble of a building, raising the front of the bike. The motorcycle jumped very high when it reached the end of the ramp, landing on top of the helicopter. Ahmed is unhappy. Issei pointed at the helicopter's propellers with a grenade launcher shotgun. The ONNG. The grenade hit the propellers, they exploded, the helicopter began to spin out of control until it hit the ground and exploded. Issei managed to get the bike to land on the ground, it was a very risky move since he could have died from any failure. "Well, I better head to the extraction point while there's no one focused on me." Issei started the bike and left the battle zone. Issei had already arrived at the extraction point, it was an old abandoned 5-story building. Issei saw that the ACP was parked there, so he deduced that Shuang and Takashi arrived without any problem. Issei parked the bike and got off it, entering through the main entrance of the old building. The building was old and weathered, what one would expect from a building that was abandoned many years ago and not demolished. Graffiti with Chinese characters on the walls, old boxes and cardboard beds of the homeless. On the top floor they would meet an MBI official to whom they would give the stolen data and they would receive their pay. "Mercenary work is hard and poorly paid," Issei said, opening the door. "Issei, Takashi and Shuang exclaimed. Inside, Takashi and Shuang were waiting for him. In the room there was also a man in a suit, next to him were 2 soldiers. "I'm glad you're in one piece," Takashi exclaimed. "I can say the same about you," Issei replied. "You? Happy? I think I would become heterosexual before you show any emotion," Shuang exclaimed. "Yes, she was a lesbian." "Did you get rid of the helicopter?" "It was difficult, but I did it," I reported. "It is an honor to meet the leader of the Shadow Dead mercenaries, the famous Shinigami. I am surprised that you are so young," exclaimed the man in the suit. "My name is Hiruma, in charge of computer control of the MBI company. You do not know how much we owe you for giving us the stolen information." "They should be, this mission cost us 2 of our companions," Shuang exclaimed angrily. "I understand that the work of a mercenary is linked to death, the loss is tragic, but they are acceptable losses." "Damn you." Okay, calm down." Shuang. Takashi tried to stop. "In any case, now that we are here, they would give me the information." Issei, Shuang and Takashi handed the briefcases to the MBI man. He opened the briefcases, inside of which were small tablets. Once turned on, they showed a screen asking for a password. After typing the key on the screen, the information began to appear. "Well, there is no error, the information is complete," said the man from the MBI. "So the job is finished?" Takashi asked, taking a few steps closer to the man. "Yes, it's time to go." "Okay." Takashi smiled, then brought his hands behind his back. Bang. Takashi drew his gun and shot Shuang, the bullet pierced her head, killing her instantly. "What the hell is Takashi doing?" Issei shouted, but the fact that the military and Takashi were pointing at him prevented him from doing anything. "Simple business," Issei. Takashi replied. He approached Issei and took away the gun and knife he kept on his leg, then kicked Issei in the stomach. Issei vomited from the strong blow, he was trying to catch his breath. You know, the whole mission was a farce. The people we killed in the building weren't insurgents, they were the Chinese government on a secret mission to deliver information to the MBI. So, who the hell is he next to you? He is an MBI official, he was the one who stole the information and plans to sell it on the black market, but calling us was not in his plans. We know firsthand the achievements of Shadow Dad, but I spoke to Takashi-kun about the same thing, and he gladly agreed to help us, for a modest sum of money. For money? Is that why you killed Boris, William, Shuang? Issei asked. We are mercenaries, Issei, we move for money, but no, you, as inhuman as you are, always followed a code, you never hesitated to kill, but you always followed the letter any mission that was entrusted to us, you did not see that this information would give us a lot of money, enough so that we wouldn't have to worry about anything. I don't know how, but I will kill you, Issei exclaimed, looking at Takashi with those ice-cold eyes. Takashi, feeling more scared, mocked Issei. Tell me, Issei, how will he do it? Takashi asked, placing the barrel of the gun on Issei's forehead, ready to pull the trigger. Suddenly, something fell on the roof of the building, breaking it into pieces, the sound of a helicopter was audible. What the hell? Exclaimed the MBI trader. The place was filled with dust, preventing anyone from seeing. Issei took advantage of the moment and hit Takashi's hand holding the weapon, throwing it aside. Damn, Takashi didn't waste any time and kneed Issei in the head, searching for the weapon. Issei took the hit, his brain shook from the impact, but he didn't let himself be defeated, so he tackled Takashi. They both went through the window and fell from a height of 5 floors. Meanwhile, the other 3 on the 5th floor paid no attention to the disappearance of those 2, their terrified gazes focused on what was in front of them, what had gone through the wall. DPP, why are you here? Exclaimed the MBI trader. I just came to take care of a rat that decided to run away, exclaimed a woman with light gray hair tied in a ponytail. She was wearing a tight black leather top, a miniskirt and stockings. On her shoulders, she wore a gray haori, at her waist, she carried a katana. Tell me, who will die first? Am it sending you, MBI bitch, Kuro no Sekirei, Kurisuba Haruma shouted seconds before his head was separated from his body. In the blink of an eye, the woman unsheathed her katana and decapitated the man. Who's next? Kurisuba asked with a psychopathic face. The 2 soldiers were terrified and opened fire on her, but she was so fast that she could dodge the bullets. Failure. Slash. Do not. Bomb. Issei and Takashi fell on the roof of the ACP, the blow left them both seriously injured, they both rolled and fell from the roof of the vehicle. Bam. The first to recover was Takashi, who approached Issei and kicked him on the sides. They had to ruin everything, right? Did you call someone? No, I don't know what you're talking about, I don't know what or who went through the roof, Issei replied, trying to stand up, but Takashi kicked him again. It's always the same with you, for once, just for once you couldn't let this go, said Takashi. Wiping some blood from the corner of his mouth, but it's over, Shadow Dead is over, now it's your turn to die, Issei, Takashi exclaimed, taking out a military knife from his boot. Issei saw Takashi approaching with the knife, so he launched it at Takashi in an attempt to disarm him. Takashi launched a thrust at Issei, Issei dodged the thrust and grabbed Takashi's arm. Takashi hit him several times with his free fist, causing Issei to step back, attacking with the knife which Issei dodged. Issei threw a punch, Takashi dodged it and was going to stab Issei in the side, Issei using his right arm blocked the cut. Takashi swung his arm and attempted to stab below Issei's chest, Issei used both hands to stop Takashi's arm from him. Then Takashi pointed at Issei's neck, Issei put pressure on his hands so that the edge of the knife would not bury itself in his neck. Bam. Issei kneed Takashi on the side, but Takashi caught Issei's leg and spun him around, throwing him against the hood of the vehicle. Issei tried to get up, but Takashi kicked him in the chest, hitting his back against the vehicle again. This is the end, Takashi exclaimed, turning the knife and launching himself at Issei. Issei dodged and grabbed Takashi's shoulders to strike him, who launched a downward thrust at Issei. Stab. The knife buried itself in Issei's left arm, without worrying about wasting time to feel the pain, Issei gave a right hook against Takashi, which made him take a step back, then Issei pulled out the knife that was buried in his arm and slashed. SAS. He cut Takashi's jugular, he began to write, holding his neck before falling to the floor dead from lack of blood. Issei killed his partner, a comrade with whom he fought several battles. He didn't feel sad, nor angry, he didn't feel anything. Then before he could do anything, Issei felt imminent danger throughout his being, as well as a thirst for blood. Bending his body backwards, Issei avoided having his head cut off by the edge of a katana, jumping back to the person who tried to kill him. Oh? You have interesting skills, said to a woman with light gray hair. Who the hell are you? Issei asked, holding the military knife firmly, there was no time to blink or worry about the blood loss from his other arm. You do an apostrophe T need to know that boy just died. The gray-haired woman was close to Issei in a fraction of a second, ready for her katana to pierce Issei's skull. Issei watched in slow motion as the tip of the katana was centimeters from his eye. Move to the left. Boost. Issei heard a strange voice in his head, and as if his body had become lighter, forgetting everything else, Issei moved to the left, dodging the slash. Karasuba was surprised that a human was able to dodge her attack. Her surprise was even greater when she saw how that same human took momentum, pointing the knife in his hand at her. A reaction came to the woman's body. SAS. In a fraction of a second, everything was over. Issei was alive, hurt but alive, and Karasuba. I'm speechless, you're someone different from the rest, exclaimed Karasuba, collecting the blood from a slight cut on her cheek, but it seems that adrenaline rush left you exhausted. It was true, after those momentary seconds, Issei's strength was completely absorbed, he had no strength left, and he felt like all his muscles were aching. The woman began to slowly approach Issei. I guess this is all. What does it matter, maybe when I die this whole damn life will end. Issei had already prepared himself to die. Aren't you afraid of dying? Karasuba asked, looking into Issei's eyes of her. We all die, only the when and how changes. Issei responded without a hint of fear in his eyes. The woman showed a strange smile. It seems that somehow, I found my Ashikabi, Karasuba replied. Hey? Before Issei could ask, the woman took him by the vest, lifted him up and kissed him. Issei was confused, what the hell was going on, then he saw some skeletal-shaped mosquito wings emerging from the back of the woman. Now we are together forever, said Karasuba. Issei was extremely confused, and when he was about to ask. Something fell next to them both, they both focused their gaze on what fell. It was a person, buried from the body down, with only the legs exposed. Hey? Issei said with a poker face. The woman separated from Issei and approached the one buried in the ground, sheathing her katana and holding the person by the leg, pulling him out in one pull. President, what did Dr. Takami tell you about jumping out of helicopters without a parachute? I parachuted, but it didn't work and I took him out of the air, the strange man replied. Issei realized who he was. And you are, Minaka Hiroto, the president of MBI, what are you doing here? Oh, it's nice to meet you, Hyoudou Issei-kun, I was the one who hired them for this mission. You? Yes, I knew from the beginning that there was a traitor in my company, in fact several. Karasuba-kun went ahead and took care of the last one. As for you, I was watching you since your mission was delivered. Huh? The suit you wear measures your capacity and monitors you, all for one purpose. What purpose? Minaka smiled at the question. The purpose, for you to become the Ashikabi of the third generation of the disciplinary squad. Issei had many questions, what the hell is going on? What Issei didn't know is that this was nothing more than the prelude to events that would mark his life from now on. Chapter 2. Formations. Minaka Hiroto's private jet. Less than an hour had passed since what happened in Shanghai. After that strange incident, both Issei and the MBI president and his companion forced Issei to follow them. The three boarded a helicopter that quickly dropped them off at the Shanghai airport. Once there, a plane was already prepared to depart for the city of Tokyo in Japan. Once inside the plane, Issei searched and took the medical kit. Using a tourniquet, Issei avoided losing more blood from his injured arm. Do you need help? We have doctors on board, said Minaka. No need, it's not the first time something like this happens. Issei took a pencil he found somewhere, put it in his mouth, then uncovered the bottle of medical alcohol and poured it on his wound. Issei bit the pencil hard, almost breaking it from the force of the pressure of his teeth. Once the wound was sterilized, he proceeded to close the wound. From one of the pockets of his military vest he took out thread and a needle and began to sew up the wound himself. Oh, you're doing a good job stitching up your own wound, Minaka said. It's something simple, I learned the hard way to heal my own wounds. While Issei was stitching up his wound, the woman accompanying Minaka looked at the brunette with utmost fascination. Interesting, he is very different from the military members I have had the displeasure of meeting. He is not afraid of dying, nor of being hurt, without a doubt, he is someone fascinating. After completing the checks, the plane took off. Well, what was all you were talking about while ago? Issei asked after finishing stitching up the wound. Let's get straight to the point, huh? Don't you want something, some food, drink? Some meat, it will help recover the blood I lost. Fantastic, aromatic, bring us a medium rare steak, Karasuba-kun, do you want one too? I'll pass, Karasuba replied. Issei turned his gaze from the MBI president to the mysterious woman accompanying him. Issei undoubtedly noticed that there was something with her, as well as a strange feeling within him. Ashikabi, what is that? Issei asked, remembering the woman's words of her after kissing him. Before answering that, Hyoudou Issei-kun, do you know what the information was for which you and your team were called? Project S is the only information that has been given to us. Correct. Hiroto began to show a more serious attitude. In a mysterious way his glasses shone, giving him an extremely serious appearance. I will tell you about that project. No, it is better called the Sekirei plan. The flight from China to Japan was long, giving Issei time to hear the whole story and learn what his role was in the Sekirei plan. Narita International Airport. The plane had already arrived at its destination, now it was a matter of transportation to the city of Tokyo. I see, so the Sekirei are beings whose origin is unknown, the Ashikabi are people with the abilities to be the Sekirei's partners, said Issei, understanding quickly. Hey? No surprise. Or any reaction of surprise? Minaka asked, waiting for something. No, I've been a mercenary since I was 13, I've seen a lot of strange things, this up close is the strangest, said Issei. Hey, I expected something more. The MBI president threw a tantrum. Is it always like this? Issei asked his partner of him. Most of the time, Karasupa answered. When they got off the plane, a handout was already waiting for them to take them to the MBI tower in Tokyo. You told me what the Sekireis are and my role as Ashikabi, but you haven't answered the most important thing. What do you expect from me? I do. Issei-kun, you caught my attention the moment I found out about you, raised as a mercenary, living a life surrounded by death. Tell me, wouldn't you like to leave that life? That? I'll make you an offer, work for me at the MBI. That's your offer, huh? Now you are the Ashikabi of Karasupa, both would be part of the disciplinary squad. You mentioned it before, what is the disciplinary squad? As their name suggests, they are those who are in charge of maintaining discipline in the Sekirei project. Once it begins, there will be Sekireis and Ashikabis who will not follow the stipulated rules. Your job will be to help Karasupa if necessary. I saw his abilities firsthand, he doesn't need my help, Issei replied. It is not technically true, Sekireis are not allowed to attack Ashikabis, for that it is necessary for an Ashikabi to take care of an Ashikabi. Basically you want me to be your guard dog. What do I get in return? Tell me your price. As a mercenary you are already used to selling your services to the highest bidder. You're wrong about something, I may be a mercenary, but I choose who to follow. Once I accept a job I will fulfill it to the letter. Very honored of you. Besides, you are now Karasupa-kun's Ashikabi, a valuable asset to us. Will they be able to find another one? Unfortunately it is not possible. Once the Sekireis receive their wings from someone, there is no way for another person to be the Ashikabi of that Sekirei. Now both are united. Ugh, what a load of cheesiness. So what do you say, do we have a deal? Minaka extended his hand towards Issei. Issei faced the situation, a new job, a full-time and indefinite one, he would stop being a mercenary to become a simple security guard. I accept. Issei shook Minaka's hand. Splendid, said Minaka. Minutes later the souls stopped, they arrived at the MBI tower. Getting out of the slime, Issei looked at the huge building. It was to be expected from the president of the MBI, although I did not expect the building to be in the middle of Tokyo, said Issei, entering the building with Minaka and Karasupa. Then something else happened. Minaka appearing suddenly and giving a flying kick against the president of the MBI, a silver-haired woman dressed in a lab coat. The impact threw Minaka backwards, throwing him out of the entrance and crashing into the limo. Thinking it was a terrorist attack, Issei prepared to intervene, only to be stopped by Karasupa before he could do anything. Why are you stopping me? Issei asked when he saw Sekirei placing his sheathed katana in front of him to prevent him from advancing. She's not an enemy, she's Dr. Takami, the MBI's lead researcher, and the one primarily responsible for the Sekirei plan, explained Karasupa, placing the katana back on her waist. Issei proceeded to remain calm and observe the situation. The woman walked out of the building and grabbed the fallen Minaka Hiroto by her shirt collar. Damn it, you know the problems you left me with by going on your little excursion, exclaimed Dr. Takami, shaking the founder of the MBI. I don't know what you're talking about, Takami-kun, said Hiroto, looking away. You left in the middle of a business meeting, leaving all the damn work to me. The silver-haired girl's fury exceeded the limits. Mercy, Minaka begged. While Issei and Karasupa looked neutrally at what happened, without feeling empathy, mockery or any emotion at what they saw. Is it normal for this to happen? Issei asked. It happens often. The president is prone to act like a grown child and leave all his obligations in the company in the hands of Dr. Takami. After Dr. Takami beat Hiroto up for a few moments, she returned to the building and set her eyes on Issei. After all, someone dressed in military attire attracted a lot of attention. Pioneers. Let me introduce him to you, said Hiroto, crawling. He is our newest member, as well as the Ashikabi of Karasupa-kun. The woman's face turned to one of surprise. Karasupa got her Ashikabi. The way you say it is very rude, Dr. Takami. It seems like you are saying that you would never find an Ashikabi, said Karasupa with a fake smile. Of all the Sekireis that are working, you would be the last one I would expect to receive her wings from her, said the doctor, lighting a cigarette. So, are you it? Hyoudou Issei responded, without showing any change in his attitude. What are those clothes? Are you a fan of military cosplay? Said the doctor. No, I might used to be a mercenary for hire, Issei replied. Hey? The doctor exclaimed in surprise, how old are you? 15. The commie was surprised, such a young boy, only a few years older than her children, was a mercenary, someone who is willing to kill if the job required it. The commie-kun, prepare a place for Issei-kun to rest, he's been through a lot today, let him assimilate recent events a little. You and I have things to talk about, Hyoudou, for now I will prepare a place for the boy to rest. Takami turned his back on the boy, but not before giving him one last look of sadness. It was already nighttime. After some checks to make sure his health was fine, Issei was taken to a large room inside the MBI tower. Once inside he took off his military attire, as they had left a new change of clothes waiting for him on the bed. I'll take a bath. Issei entered the room's bathroom, a very large one, it must be said, with multiple showers, so that more than one person could take a shower. While the drops of water wet the brown-haired boy's hair, he took those moments to think. It's all over, I'm the last survivor of Shadow Dad, everyone is gone, Takashi betrayed us, now I'm the MBI's watchdog on their strange project, to think that more strange things happened in this world. Deep in thought, Issei didn't notice that someone else had sneaked into his room, getting dangerously close to him. This world has many unexplainable mysteries, said Issei. Like which ones? A voice was heard next to Issei. Turning around, Issei saw his Sekirei, Kurisuba, completely naked, taking a shower in the adjacent shower. What are you doing here? Issei asked normally, having a beautiful woman by his side didn't excite him in the least. Something's wrong, I'm your Sekirei, things like this will happen from time to time. No, my question is, why in my room? I stopped by the president's orders to drop off some things with you. I took the opportunity to take a bath. Cleaning dried blood is difficult if it takes a long time, said Kurisuba, soaping every corner of her well-formed body. I see, tell me, according to the Sekirei plan, once there is only one left, that Sekirei will be granted a wish. What is your wish, Kurisuba? Issei asked, carefully washing the wound on his arm. I don't have any, Kurisuba simply answered, I'm just looking to fight strong people, I don't care about weak trash, Kurisuba answered. Meanwhile in some parts of the world, we see an albino boy being trained and sneezing that someone stole his phrase from him. Back in the MBI bathroom. I see. They were both indifferent to each other, they might be Sekirei and Ashikabi, but neither of them believed that you're together forever was necessary. Weeks later. It had been a few weeks since Issei entered the MBI, in the time that he had passed, Dr. Takami had tried to make the boy feel comfortable. Trying to get the boy to leave behind that life as a mercenary and adjust to something more normal for a boy his age. Where did that boy go? Takami said to herself, looking for the brunette. Something somewhat difficult due to the large number of rooms, laboratories, etc. that the Tito Tower had. Dr. Takami, are you looking for someone? Miyajima, I was looking for Issei. Ah, the new kid the president brought, if I remember correctly I think he went to the physical training room on the 34th floor a few hours ago. I appreciate it. After a brief greeting the doctor went to the indicated floor. Well, I have to tune up number 09. The commie went down to the 34th floor, there were different fitness equipment, it was mainly used by the Sekireis, whose bodies were already fully functioning, and for those still in a higher state of development. Walking through the halls, Takami searched for the brunette without any success. Entering another room, a special room where tests of the abilities of different Sekireis were carried out. A large room where the study of skills was carried out through highly resistant glass. Takami could see Sekirei number 04, Kurisuba, standing there, staring through the glass panel with a somewhat macabre smile as she held the hilt of her katana tightly. I'm surprised to find you here, what caught your interest so much that you are like this? Takami asked Akuro no Sekirei. Something extremely interesting, Dr. Takami Kurisuba responded without stopping looking ahead. When Takami looked in the same direction, he was both surprised and angry. Inside the testing room, Issei was facing off against 5 MBI military personnel. Can you tell me what's going on? Takami asked for an answer. Issei was doing physical conditioning normally, then those trash arrived and started an argument, Issei didn't pay attention to them, then one started fighting, and then the others, seeing that this wouldn't end Issei, preferred to face all of them. Couldn't you do something? Issei decided to fight because if he had done something then Takami interrupted. You don't need to say more, I know how it ended. Now both women watched the match, it would be somewhat unfair since it was 5 against 1, and those 5 were adult men against a 15-year-old boy, but the reality was the opposite. Crack. Asaya, one of the men shouted, holding his broken wrist. Damn you, another of the men launched himself with a right hook at Issei. Moving in a dancing manner, Issei easily dodged each blow, dodging one last one, sneaking into the unprotected area left by the soldier, delivering a very strong blow with his palm to the chin, knocking him out. Another interceded by launching a kick at Issei, who dodged it by crouching and spinning, sweeping the man's leg, forcing him to fall, then Issei spun, hitting the soldier in the stomach with his heel, knocking him unconscious. What is this, boy?" asked the two remaining soldiers, understanding that they provoked someone they shouldn't. "Who's next?" Issei said calmly, which only increased the fear in the soldiers. "I," one of those two started shouting at Issei without having a plan. "Don't go, idiot," shouted the remaining one, frozen with fear. Issei simply dodged a blow, then Issei grabbed the soldier's arm and with a spin, threw him to the ground, then grabbed the soldier's arm, pulling the arm trying to free the bone from its place. "I surrender," exclaimed the soldier, feeling that his arm was about to slip off his shoulder. "That's enough." Dr. Takami's voice was heard over the speakers. "Those still conscious, take that one to have his wrist checked and the others to the infirmary, quickly." The still conscious took the fallen away in the soldier's blink of an eye. The temperament and how terrifying Dr. Takami could be was well known to everyone in the tower. "I figured those trash would be nothing to you," said Karasuba appearing in the room, throwing a towel at Issei to dry his sweat. "No, they just had a hot head. If one does not fight with a cool mind, one will be more prone to make more mistakes," Issei replied. He admitted that those soldiers were well trained, but they still make many mistakes. "Ever since we met in China I've wanted to fight you," Issei, "while I'm in top form." "That? You are the first human being capable of hurting me, although it was a superficial wound. It is something to admire. In your case I can say that it was a simple stroke of luck," Issei answered. That's what he thought. Although what was that voice I heard at that moment? Meanwhile, in the observation room. "Issei-kun is extremely interesting, isn't he?" Takami-kun. At some point the president of the MBI, Minaka Hyoudou, had made an appearance at the place. "Interesting would be the last thing I expected. Where did you get this boy?" Minaka. "Death, wars, those things are not for a boy of his age." "Life is hard, Takami-kun. It's even harder for some than others. If you're intrigued by the boy's past, here I am. I collected all the information I could about him." Hyoudou had a folder with documents in his hand. Takami snatched them from him and began to read them one by one. It must be said that he did not like anything he saw. What kind of sick person can send a 13-year-old boy to so many wars? Hyoudou remained silent as he looked closely at the brunette. Months later. The months passed and Issei began to adapt to the MBI. The Sekirei project was going full steam ahead. There were still a few years left before the Sekirei plan would be carried out. That would take the city of Tokyo as the main battlefield. Karasuba, President Minaka, said that we are the third disciplinary squad. What happened to the first and second? Issei asked, sitting at his desk after finishing papers that for some reason they were entrusted to him. The first generation was made up of the first numbers, number 010203, me and 05, Karasuba answered, sitting on the brown-haired boy's desk. "Hey? Yes, number 05 was a man. Is that strange? Somehow, all the Sekireis I've been able to witness so far have been women. What happened to them?" Number 01 left the Sekirei project. She is the wife of researcher Takedo. "Oh? I didn't know Takedo-san was married." The others. Number 02 is currently wanted by the MBI. Number 03 apparently escaped and is wandering around Japan, and number 05 is missing. Is it okay to leave numbers 03 and 05 free and who knows where? Issei asked, raising his eyebrows in doubt. The president wanted it that way. He didn't seem too affected when number 02 ran away taking information from the MBI with her. "I'm surprised that you were the one who stuck with the MBI." "I don't think so. Tell me the truth. Something about the MBI caught your attention, right?" "We are Sekirei and Ashikabi. You understand me perfectly." "Yes, there was something," said Karasuba, admitting that there was something for which she stayed. "Let me guess, the one you're keeping had to do with the second generation, or am I wrong?" "Bingo, I'm staying because I found some extremely interesting prey." Issei noticed Karasuba's eyes light up dangerously. "Who was able to get your attention so much?" Number 08, the Sekirei of Destiny, Yum. She was the leader of the second generation. She was the only Sekirei whose crest was complete. She didn't need an Ashikabi. "No, she and number 01 were the only ones I've ever wanted to duel to the death with." "I understand 01, she is no longer part of the plan, but what happened to 08? Karasuba's eyes darkened. Issei could feel that Karasuba changed emotionally. The always neutral one was now angry. "She is dead. She died to give the young Sekireis a new path." "I don't need to ask anymore." Issei knew there was a story behind it, but he preferred not to know. He didn't care much either. "That leaves you and me as the third generation, even though it's just the two of us. You make it sound like you want help. I don't think there are any Sekireis out there that would pique your interest or be able to give you a challenge." Who knows, maybe in the future I'll find some quality prey, said Karasuba, remembering the girl for whom Yum sacrificed herself. Years later. Years passed. Now Issei was one of the top officials of the MBI. At the age of 21, he was Minaka Hiroto's right-hand man. The Sekirei plan was ready to begin. The 108 Sekireis were ready to look for their Ashikabis, and once a large number of Sekireis received their wings, the game would begin. The great tragedy occurred years ago. The main researcher and assistant of Dr. Takami, Asama Takedo, died due to the loss of control of one of the Jinki. The loss was a hard blow for the MBI, and even more so for his wife, the Sekirei 01 Asama Miya. Issei remembers that day, the day Karasuba went to give the bad news to 01. Something inside Issei told him that something bad would happen, his intuition told him. His hypotheses were completed when hours later Karasuba returned from the brink of death. The encounter with the angry 01 left Karasuba in a deplorable state, which even with the medical advances of the MBI took months to recover. Now Issei stood on top of the tower, delivering the routine report. Around 15 Sekireis have received their wings in this last week, 5 of which tried to escape from the city of Tokyo, and for which we mobilized. 3 of the cases managed to be resolved peacefully. In the last 2 cases it had to be resolved in a more extreme way, Issei reported, reading the documents he had in his hand also of the Ashikabis that there are. It is something to highlight that many of them began to gather in the east. I see, it seems that things are proceeding as planned. Any news from you, Takami-kun? Numbers 107 and 108 have passed the stipulated tests. Number 107 has gone out in search of her Ashikabi at this time. I think it is still too soon for 108 to go out on her own. I will take care of her until she reacts to her Ashikabi. After giving a few more reports, both Dr. Takami and Issei left the place. Very soon this great game will begin, Minaka exclaimed at the top, only to slip and almost fall from there. As they walked to their respective places, Issei asked Dr. Takami something. Tell me, Dr. Takami. What's wrong? Takami said, taking out a cigarette which Issei lit. He is not worried about his son being included in the plan. The day before, Dr. Takami's son, Sahashi Minato, gave wings to the 88th Musubi, making him a participant in the Sekirei project. He's my son, I trust him. Besides, the place where he is now is safe, said Takami, releasing a puff of smoke. That's true, after all, he now lives in the inn that the Northern Hanya has, said Issei. It wasn't a written rule or anything, but it was known that it was not good to mess with 01, not only because of how strong she was, but also because of how terrifying she could be. Only the late Dr. Takedo could be more terrifying than her. What can I say about you? It's been about a month since those two joined you. There has been any mishap or something? No, the Issei was about to say something, but was interrupted by someone else. Issei, the one who called the brown-haired boy, was a girl of average height, a little shorter than Issei, with pink hair tied in a ponytail on the left side, with 2 hair clips shaped like daisies. She was wearing a black kimono shirt with a Sekirei emblem and cycling shorts. She also wore pink combat gloves. What's wrong, Benitsubasa? Issei asked. The girl present was another of Issei's Sekirei, number 105 Benitsubasa. We have work to do, those Sekireis that attacked the wingless ones have reappeared, reported Benitsubasa. Again, where are Heihain and Karasuba? I don't know where Kuro is. Heihain is already heading to where they were last seen. I understand, we'll talk later. Dr. Takami. Issei left with the pink-haired girl. It seems that he has changed a little. It was a good idea of Hiroto to give Issei to those two, said the doctor to no one exactly, before leaving at a normal pace. It was nighttime and Issei was driving in his red convertible to the indicated place. His co-pilot was preparing to enter a fight, something he was looking forward to, since he hadn't had much action in a long time. This time they won't escape. I'll finish those two off once and for all, said Benitsubasa, cracking his knuckles. I see you're very excited, Benitsubasa. I'm not excited, the pink-haired girl denied with her cheeks completely red. In the distance a lightning bolt was seen rising to the sky. Issei accelerated the convertible to get there quickly, driving almost professionally between the cars without hitting any of them. Benitsubasa fastened her seatbelt. It's not like she'll need it, being of a physical type. Something like a car crash wouldn't hurt much, and the person she was in love with wouldn't suffer any harm. Issei, fasten your seatbelt. There's no time. Vroom. The car accelerated even more. When it was about to reach the indicated place, something fell against the convertible. Issei, recognizing what it was, maneuvered the car so that it fell into the back seats. The person who fell on the seats, a little bruised but healthy. I hate height, said to a girl with disheveled gray hair, narrow eyes, dressed in a tattered black kimono with the Sekirei brand logo, as well as bandages covering her body under the kimono. She wore a choker around her neck, and on her hands, there were sharp claws. Are you okay, Heihain? Issei asked. The girl names Issei's third Sekirei, number 104 Heihain. Yes, I just hate heights. "What the hell are you doing, Heihain?" exclaimed Benitsubasa. "What happened to the electric Sekireis?" "They escaped. When I was chasing them they tricked me into looking down, and when I did I got dizzy, then they sent me flying with an attack," Heihain reported. "Ah damn," Benitsubasa complained. "It seems that this time it was our defeat," said Issei. He slowed down and parked the car. "Ah, this is driving me crazy," said Benitsubasa, kicking a mailbox, leaving it in pieces. "If only we had arrived a little earlier. It was my fault for falling into such a stupid trap." Heihain had placed herself in fetal possession in the back seat while a depressive aura enveloped her. "It wasn't your fault, Heihain, you did what you could," he tried to console. "In any case we have to report this, besides we're not the only ones after them," said Issei, looking at the top of a certain building. Standing there was a person, with grey hair and dressed in black, with part of his face covered. That person looked at the members of the disciplinary squad and then disappeared in a cluster of flames. "Ah damn, we already had them, if only we had arrived a little earlier," exclaimed Benitsubasa, taking a bath in one of the showers with the other Sekireis of the disciplinary squad. "Where have you been all day, Kuro?" "They were resolving some matters," said Karasuba, submerged from the waist down in the spacious bathtub. "Your complaints sound more like you're blaming Issei," Heihain said next to Benitsubasa, in the adjacent shower. "I wouldn't blame Issei," exclaimed Benitsubasa. "It's your fault, Heihain. How the hell could you fail for such a simple trick?" "It's just that I hate heights. When we fight they don't bother me, but at that moment I got distracted and ended up like this," Heihain replied. "Even so, maybe I should have held on a few more minutes, Issei, and you were almost there." "That's what you should have done. Now Issei is receiving punishment for our incompetence." Beanie gets more upset than usual when Issei gets on the bad side. "You still try to get Issei to notice you. Too bad Issei is gay," Heihain mocked. "He's not gay, you'll see. I'll teach Issei that being with a woman is much better." Good luck with that. Kuro has been with Issei longer than us, she knows Issei is gay." "I don't know if he's gay or not, but I don't think Issei is interested in girls." "You only say that because of the three of us you are the one with the biggest bust," exclaimed Benitsubasa furiously. "Well, if you want to be closer to Issei, try to gain some more bust. You will be cursed." Benitsubasa was furious. Beanie went crazy, Heihain mocked. Issei doesn't feel things like love, hate or any emotion. They waste their time trying to make him feel something, were the thoughts of the Kuro no Sekirei. On the other hand, Issei was not receiving a punishment, rather he was giving a report related to the growth in number of the Ashikabis. Everything indicates that a large number of Ashikabis are gathering in the east, most likely they are allying or being forced to work with Higa Izumi. Also the growth in the number of Sekireis in the south, by a boy named Mikagami Hayato. Karasuba discovered that boy has among his ranks the number 05 and the discarded number, Issei finished saying to Dr. Takami. "So the east and south are starting to move. Any information from the west?" asked Dr. Takami. "It is known that there is a predominant Ashikabi there, but we still have no information about a Merhez Sekirei. That leaves the north free, although I don't think anyone will be able to control it." "I wouldn't be so sure," Dr. Takami said. Issei. "What do you mean, Issei?" Takami was bothered by the fact that the brunette was insinuating something. "Who knows, I just think that soon the north will have a predominant Ashikabi too." A few weeks later, what Issei said came true, as the Ashikabi Sahashi Minato had gotten more Sekireis, he took care of the matter of number 108 Kusano. Later the fugitive, number 02 Matsu also joined him, and adding the most recent Sekirei, number 09 Tsukiyumi, everything indicated that the predominant Ashikabi of the north was the son of Dr. Takami and President Manaka. Although the boy did not know who his father was. Another interesting fact is that the youngest daughter of those two also became an Ashikabi, Sahashi Yukari, the Ashikabi of the 107 Sekirei Shina. The Sekirei plan is certainly extremely something fun, Issei said out loud while driving his red convertible. "What is this about?" said Karasuba as his co-pilot, somewhat upset by the brown-haired boy's words. "Nothing, I was just thinking something and accidentally let out a few words. Is there any reason why you want to visit the Northern Hanya Inn?" "I just wanted to visit an old friend," Karasuba answered. She knew that at this moment number 01, Asamamiya was outside the Asumo Inn, so she would take the opportunity to visit and confirm with her own eyes the growth of number 88, Musubi. "Friend? Or did you mean prisoner?" Karasuba didn't say anything, but that expression on her face said it all. "I'm starting to feel sorry for whoever Karasuba is looking for." While on the other side of the city, a battle had just ended, the bodies of two Sekireis were on the ground, while MBI helicopters came to pick them up. Another stupid escape attempt," said Benitsubasa. "They are becoming more and more frequent," pathetic Heihain mocked. The escape attempts by the participants began to become more frequent, and MBI security forces as well as the disciplinary squad were sent to deal with them. Heihain, don't you think that Issei and Karasuba have been spending more time together lately?" said Benitsubasa heavily. Heihain stared at her strangely until she said the following words: "You're stupid." But Benitsubasa got angry at the comment. It's Issei and Kuro, something like that won't happen, it's more likely that Issei will be interested in you than something like that will happen. What did you say, damn it, Benitsubasa shouted, throwing a punch at Heihane, who dodged it by jumping and landing on a light pole. Haha, it's fun to see Beanie explode. Repeat that in front of me, shouted Benitsubasa, kicking the post, bending it in half. The disciplinary squad was an extremely strange group, but these last two managed to ease the tense atmosphere that Issei always had. The ever-cold Issei smiled from time to time, although sometimes they were nothing more than fake smiles, some were actually sincere. It was already the night of that day. Issei looked out the window of the MBI tower, while a strange smile was drawn on his face. Behind him, sitting in the armchair, was Karasuba, sharpening his katana. What makes you so happy, Issei? Karasuba asked with her eyes on the edge of her katana. Nothing in particular, I just think that tonight will be really fun, something very exciting is about to happen. Is it your intuition? We could say yes. Then Karasuba stood up and headed for the door. I guess I'll go have some fun, your intuitions are always right. After those words she left the place. I certainly do, and _T regret shaking her hand that time. A life as a mercenary is very empty and emotionless compared to this. Issei's life changed a lot 7 years ago, since that time in China, where he met that angel of death with light silver hair. Chapter 3. Number 7 and Berserker. MBI Onsen. The day was the day off for all the Sekireis and their Ashikabis. After the terrorist attack on the bridge and the medical examination of the Sekireis, the MBI distributed information about a day out of routine. No Sekirei were allowed to fight today. As for the Ashikabis, they would take a moment of tranquility in an onsen prepared by the MBI. Like the Sekireis, the Ashikabis were forbidden to start any kind of brawl or fight. The wounds will still take a while to heal, said a certain brown-haired Ashikabi. As the years went by, his body grew, and so did his physique. Before, he had a well-toned body for someone of his age. Now his physique was more defined, but hidden by always wearing a suit. Hyoudou Issei, the Ashikabi of the disciplinary squad, was also taking this moment to relax and recover from injuries sustained recently. At this moment he was submerged from the waist down in the hot springs, in fact special ones that promote cell regeneration and help wounds heal faster, all courtesy of the MBI. Even so, I was lucky. The power of the Sekireis is something we can't play with. Experiencing it firsthand showed me how weak we humans are in comparison, Issei said to himself, clenching his fist. Issei had been seconds away from dying at the hands of the overwhelming power that the Sekireis have. It was all due to a reason, something simple or complicated depending on the point of view. I hope those four are getting along well. I don't think two of them will be upset. What worries me is Benitsubasa, said Issei, remembering why he was hurt and why his Sekirei was furious, although at first she was momentarily happy and then became angry for no apparent reason. The reason for everything that happened was due to one person, or rather a Sekirei, the newest member of the disciplinary squad, the discarded number Akitsu. Flashback. Days ago. Just minutes since Karasuba left the room in the MBI tower, everything following Issei's intuition is something extremely exciting was happening outside. Once phase 2 of the Sekirei project began, battles between Sekirei began. So far, 29 Sekirei had already lost their respective battles. Those who did not want to follow the established rules tried to escape the capital, only to be stopped by the MBI military forces, or if they managed to get past the latter, by the members of the disciplinary squad. Issei felt that his intuition was another attempt to escape. Heihane and Benitsubasa were already outside. Most likely if that situation arose, they would take care of it, but the fact that Karasuba also wanted to go only made the brown-haired boy feel pity for whoever his prey was. Well, I think I'll go out too. Being locked up for so long isn't good for your health. Issei prepared to leave the tower as well. He went down to the top floor and took his red convertible out of the parking lot. Starting the car's engine and heading out into the street, he set out to stroll around or pick up his Sekireis, whichever came first. What Issei didn't know is that tonight would bring surprises not only for his Sekireis, but for himself as well. After a few minutes of driving, Issei passed through the capital square, ready to pass by, but something caught his attention. A strange feeling invaded him. Stopping the car and parking it in a corner, Issei got out of the car and prepared to enter the park. What is this? This strange feeling, it's very similar to when Issei thought as he walked through the dark park, lit only by the spotlights that illuminated the place. Then Issei's eyes saw her. Sitting on a park bench was a girl, fair skin covered with a bloody medical coat, light brown hair, an empty expression on her face. The most notable thing was the mark on her forehead. The Sekirei crest. Issei recognized a mark that every Sekirei carries on the back of their neck. Why does she have it on her forehead? The girl fixed her attention on the brunette. Issei noticed that empty look she had. Somehow it reminded him of himself years ago. When years? The girl asked. Nobody, Issei answered, taking out a cigarette and lighting it and putting it in his mouth. What are you doing here alone? where is your Ashikabi? Issei asked. Ashikabi, I don't have one, no one can give me wings. The tone in which he said it showed great sadness and regret. I see. Issei let out a puff of smoke. Issei remembered who she was. Number 07 Akitsu, due to failure she suffered a malfunction after an experiment and obtained a half-wing state. After the experiment she was unable to react to her Ashikabi, for which she was discarded as a useless toy. You've been through a lot. Although Issei had found her, he did know exactly what to do. He could easily leave her there abandoned to her fate, but something in Issei told him that he should Why are you here? The Sekirei asked. I was just going out to breathe some air. The girl continued looking at Issei. For some reason he felt uncomfortable with the brunette's gaze of her. Before Issei could say anything else, someone interrupted them. I'm sorry to ask you this, but could I take you away from her? A voice was heard behind Issei. It was a tall man, with messy silver hair and grey eyes. His outfit consisted of black pants and a long-sleeved shirt of the same color. The shirt was open in the front, stopping a few centimeters below his solar plexus, with leather bands that crisscrossed forming an X. Behind him were a total of 3 more girls. Number 05, Matsu, may I ask, what are Mikagami Sekireis doing here? Yes, you know us, or you have enough information or work for the MBI. Said Matsu without trusting the brown-haired boy. Let's say you got it right, the question is which one, and well, what does the Sekirei of Mikagami of the South want here? We came to take that girl, he said, pointing to the Sekirei behind Issei. I assume so. Doesn't Mikagami already have a large number of Sekireis? Unfortunately our Ashikabi has a strange obsession with wanting to catch as many Sekireis as possible. Are you trying to be a Sekirei master or something? Issei said sarcastically. I don't know, in any case, I recommend that you get out of the way, MBI dog, exclaimed Matsu pointing at the brown-haired boy with his katana still sheathed. A rude way to call me for someone who was also a dog of the MBI a long time ago, said Issei, looking with a sharp gaze at the male Sekirei. That was a long time ago, stop fooling around and get out of the way, or we have to do it by force, said Matsu. The Sekireis behind him prepared themselves. Hey, did you forget that you are forbidden from attacking a human? The rules state that we are prohibited from killing enemy Ashikabis, but they didn't mention anything about hurting them without killing them. You cunning bastard, you found a loophole in the laws. Issei was in a precarious situation. His Sekireis were on the other hand for stupid reasons. He was acting like a damn hero, and now he was up to his neck in shit. Today is not my day, hey you, Issei said to the Sekirei behind him without losing sight of his opponents. Hey? Akitsu replied in a flat, emotionless voice. I recommend you get out of here, not everything is lost yet, I know you will find your Ashikabi. Akitsu listened carefully to Issei's words. Would it be possible? Could she find her Ashikabi? So get out of here, Issei exclaimed loudly, surprising the brunette. As if we were going to leave you. One of the Sekireis behind Matsu launched a circular blade at Akitsu. If we prevent her from moving it will be easier. The blades came dangerously close to the chestnut when they were centimeters away from it. Again. Issei moved quickly and pushed the Sekirei out of the way of the blades, unfortunately not enough since some blades left cuts on her brunette's arm and back. The Sekirei looked at something surprised, something that her face did not show. The brown-haired boy did the act to protect her. I failed, said the Sekirei who threw the cutting blades. Why do you protect me? Akitsu asked. I do no, Issei answered. Her right arm was bleeding a lot. Really, I do have a bucking clue why I do it, Issei said, looking at the male Sekirei and the others. This guy. Matsu felt danger emanating from the brown-haired boy's eyes. This guy is annoying, let's finish him off once and for all. The Sekirei with the knives launched a large amount against the brunette. Get out of the way, Issei moved Akitsu away from the line of fire, crossing his arms in an X shape covering his face. Again. The knives went at full speed, cutting different parts of Issei's body. The fabric of his suit began to be torn little by little. Stop, if you continue they will kill him. Matsu tried to stop the Sekireis. But something surprising happened. Issei, even receiving all that damage, managed to hold some of the knives and throw them back at his attackers. Clank. But for Matsu it was not so difficult to block the knives with his katana. This is Matsu didn't finish the sentence as he saw the brown-haired boy approaching very quickly holding one of the knives and pointing it at his platinum-haired boy's eye. When he was inches away from ending the life of Sekirei number 05. A very powerful kick hit the chestnut's sides, throwing him away. Issei spat out blood due to the damage from the kick. He shot out with such force that he was slammed into a tree. One of the Sekireis accompanying Matsu was responsible for delivering that powerful blow against Issei. What did you do, fool? That blow should have killed him, Matsu reproached, scolding the Sekirei, turning to take his target and get out of there before the MBI noticed. But to their surprise, when they turned their gaze they saw the brown-haired boy getting up, with difficulty, but he got up showing a smile typical of a Spartan. "What is happening?" That was all, said Issei, spitting out a large amount of blood, beginning to approach them. Hey, this is a joke, right? I didn't hold back, that kick should have killed him," said the fighting Sekirei, feeling some fear at the brown-haired man's appearance. After all, Issei had his suit torn, his shirt in tatters, and blood covering his face, giving him a terrifying appearance. The southern Sekireis felt slightly intimidated by what they saw, wondering if that boy was human. But instead the cause of all this looked at the chestnut with a hint of concern. The fact that they wanted to take her away from her led to the chestnut receiving such damage. When Akitsu tried to approach the badly wounded brown-haired boy, a rope immobilized her. "Don't think you're going to leave now, we're here to take you to Mikagami-sama, so stay still," said the Sekirei, tightening the ropes that held Akitsu. Led away from her, surprising everyone, Issei launched himself at full speed to rescue the captured Sekirei. This guy is very annoying." The fighting Sekirei moved forward towards Issei, and with one blow she slammed him hard against the ground. Crack. The crater of earth was formed as a result of the impact of Issei's body, hitting hard, who vomited a large amount of blood. His bones had suffered considerable damage. "But this, it won't bother you anymore." The Sekirei was preparing to leave the crater that she formed when she hit the brown-haired boy, but then, "No, I will leave you." Issei died almost holding the Sekirei's leg. "How can he be conscious after receiving that blow?" the Sekirei of the knives exclaimed incredulously. "This is bad, this guy, what the hell is he?" Matsu's uneasiness increased when he saw Issei stand up again, blood all over his body. He literally had one foot in the grave, but he refused to give in. "Stop please," Akitsu asked. He felt pain seeing how the brown-haired boy suffered such damage. "I'll go with you, so leave him," Akitsu begged. "Shut up," Issei roared loudly, surprising Akitsu. "If you dare to go with it just because you pity me, I swear I won't forgive you." Akitsu could do something that he thought would never happen, a reaction. He was reacting to the brown-haired boy, indicating that he was the person he was waiting for. Enough nonsense. The fighting Sekirei unleashed a shower of high-speed blows on the brown-haired boy. Akitsu tensed at such an act. Issei had already been buried in the ground, his body completely damaged, with blood everywhere and his eyes blank. "Idiot, you killed him," Matsu shouted angrily. This was not anticipated, so they had to leave quickly. No, tears began to run down Akitsu's face, her stoic expression had disappeared. "We have to go now," said Matsu. "Hold on and let's get out of here quickly." The loud noise caught the attention of Matsu and the rest of the Sekireis. Apparently something fell with great force, creating a small crater in the ground of the square. That damn girl from number 88 will pay for this the next time I see her," exclaimed a girl with pink hair tied in a ponytail, extremely annoyed. "Wait," said another person with silver hair under her pink hair. The two Sekireis who had fallen were the disciplinary squad members, Benitsubasa and Heihain. The attention of the two Sekireis who had just fallen from the sky focused on Matsu's group. For his part, Matsu recognized the outfits they were both wearing. The disciplinary squad. Matsu didn't need anything else to know what happened here, he ended up calling attention. "We're leaving now," Matsu shouted. Yeah, it seems that tonight is full of surprises. I didn't expect to meet so many people again." Another voice became audible to everyone. Approaching, hidden by the darkness of the night, her light gray hair, her black clothes, her katana ready to be unsheathed, and her smiling expression that only inspired fear. "Long time no see, Matsu." "Yes, a lot, Karasuba." The cold sweat running down Matsu's forehead showed his nervousness. "So you came to teach us a lesson for attacking that MBI guy?" said Matsu, pointing at the crater behind him. "What are you talking about?" Karasuba didn't understand what Matsu meant. Benitsubasa was the closest to the crater, so she decided to take a look while doing so. Issei. Both Karasuba and Heihain were surprised by the pink-haired girl's sudden scream. Heihain approached and saw how the brown-haired boy was extremely hurt, with blood everywhere. "This is bad, Issei is extremely serious," said Heihain, losing her typical mocking attitude of hers. "Can you explain to me what happened here?" Matsu said. Karasuba looking at the male Sekirei with a cutting gaze, holding the handle of his katana ready. We tried to take this girl away," said Matsu, pointing at Akitsu, "but he got in, so we had to take more drastic measures." "Damn you, how dare you do this to Issei?" Benitsubasa shouted extremely furiously and with tears in her eyes. "This is no longer a fight, it's an execution," Heihain said, crossing her claws ready to tear everyone apart. Both of them prepared to fight, leaving the brown-haired boy still in the crater. "Matsu, you just made a big mistake," said Karasuba, unsheathing his katana slowly. "I can't allow someone to harm my Ashikabi, so you will have to die, now." Without hesitation, Matsu looked at the three Sekirei in front of him, sweating coldly because of the precariousness of his situation. "Today is not my day." The battle was about to break out, Matsu and the Sekireis with him against the disciplinary squad. But they didn't count on something extremely terrifying being about to happen. Crack. In some place. On a pedestal in a completely dark room, 4 spheres of different colors rested, as they had been done for many years. The dark purple one. The deep red one. The pale orange one. The dark blue one. Each one emitting a faint glow. Crack. Surprisingly, cracks began to appear in the purple color. Well, it seems that one is already waking up, unfortunately it is not yet time. A mournful voice was heard in the gloomy place, a skeletal hand approached the purple sphere. It is not yet time for your awakening, the one that carries with it the shadow of death. Back with the Sekirei showdown. Damn you will pay for what you did to Issei, Benitsubasa roared. The stupid guy asked for it, we only followed Mikagami-sama's orders, said the Sekirei who hit Issei. Pieces, I will cut them into many pieces, Heihain said, moving her claws. I want to see you try, MBI bitch, shouted the Sekirei who carried the knives with her. Matsu, I always wanted to kill myself, thanks for giving me a reason, said Karasuba, pointing the edge of her katana at the silver-haired man. Unfortunately I didn't want to have to deal with you, but given what I did to your Ashikabi, I guess we have no choice. Matsu prepares to start the counterattack. Everyone was ready to pounce on their enemy when a sense of danger gripped everyone in the city of Tokyo. At the Izumo Inn, the residents were terrified by the immense pressure from all around, and even number 01 Mia was trembling with fear from that unpleasant feeling. Back in the park. What is this? Benitsubasa couldn't move, a terrifying presence enveloped her, as well as an unpleasant feeling, something extremely terrifying was behind her. The rest was the same, even Karasuba had to hold her arm tightly to stop the tremors that were invading her. Stupid. Swallowing hard, Heihain dared to look back, then saw, as a black aura swirled from the crater where the chestnut tree was lying. Tap tap. Slowly, the brown-haired figure began to emerge from the crater, something that did not please Heihain and Benitsubasa, since the brown-haired man was surrounded by that extremely black aura. A red metallic claw had replaced his left arm at the elbow, added to some extremely red eyes, that gave it a gloomy appearance. It's impossible, he was extremely hurt, there's no way he could stand, exclaimed the Sekirei who hit Issei. Issei. Benitsubasa tried to touch the brown-haired boy, but someone grabbed her and moved her away from there. What the hell are you doing, Kuro? Heihain, get away quickly, Karasuba shouted. At that moment Heihain obeyed and took a great distance from the chestnut. What's happening to Issei, Kuro? Heihain asked. I have no idea, just something extremely bad is happening for the first time in her life. Karasuba felt that fear of death palpable on her skin. The brown-haired boy went on to look with his red eyes at the Sekireis responsible for leaving him so injured. Don't try to scare us, you're a simple human, you can't do anything to us. The Sekirei prepared to launch a combined attack of punches and knives. Idiots, Renayan shouted Matsu. But it was just too late. Cracking. Within seconds, Issei had grabbed both of their heads and slammed them into the ground, creating 2 huge craters all over the place. Everyone was open-mouthed, something like that, done by a human, was impossible. The brunette's reddened gaze shifted to the only man besides him in the place. Moving the metal claw slightly. Again. 4 purple crescent-shaped waves were launched at Matsu, who managed to dodge them, but they continued on their way, destroying everything in their path. The surprises apparently did not want to end. How did he do that? Heihain asked, stunned. Is it really Issei? Issei, stop please, begged Benitsubasa. The chestnut didn't respond, he just stood there, analyzing his next prey. This is extremely something bad. Issei does not listen to reason, he has entered a berserker mode. I highly doubt he even knows who we are. Karasuba pointed her katana at the brown-haired boy. Fear still remained inside her, but her desire to fight was driving her to continue. Stop, Kuro, Benitsubasa claimed. Are you planning to kill Issei? I highly doubt that killing him is possible now. Look, Karasuba pointed at the brown-haired boy. To their surprise, the wounds that the chestnut tree had before were slowly beginning to close, emitting a slight vapor from them. What the hell is happening to Issei? Taking advantage of the panic, Matsu along with the only Sekirei accompanying her, planned to get out of there quickly, taking Akitsu with them. Move, if we want to get out of here we have to move quickly, said Matsu, bringing the lassoed Sekirei out of her panicked state. We're leaving, she called out to Akitsu and turned around to run away as fast as she could, but she felt a tug on her right shoulder as she turned around. Issei had pulled her, her glowing eyes, fangs as well as the steam emanating from her mouth were the last thing that Sekirei could see. Because a blow to her stomach sent her flying very far away, falling dead somewhere. The impact freed Akitsu, but threw her away from her. When she recovered and looked up, she saw, frightened, how the brunette who had helped her was now in a state of uncontrolled dementia, ready to kill whoever was near him. This is my fault, otherwise you would have helped me, she reproached herself, releasing some tears. The impact forced Matsu to fall near the disciplinary squad. DCH, what kind of monster do you have for Ashikabi, Karasuba said Matsu. Certainly, he looks more like a monster now than he did before, Karasuba said. He will attack whoever, I highly doubt he won't attack you too. The term being screwed comes to mind, said Karasuba. I think it was invented just for this moment. I highly doubt that any of us will be able to escape alive, so I propose that we both stop him. Damn it, it's your fault that Issei is like this, Benitsubasa claimed. I certainly didn't stop those two in time. In any case, if we want to get out of here alive, you and I working together to defeat him is necessary. I would dare say that at this moment he is stronger than the Hanya. Certainly as it is now, Issei is stronger than me. At the edge of Karasuba's katana flashed, I accept. Goro reproached Benitsubasa, don't do it, you'll kill Issei. Benitsubasa, don't get involved or I'll kill you myself, said Karasuba. No one would get in the middle of her fun. I won't leave you. Benitsubasa tried to get in the way, but Heihain got in between the two. Get out of the way, Heihain. Beanie, I'm afraid to say that this is the only way to stop Issei. Heihain looked at what was once her Ashikabi. I'm afraid that if we leave him as he is, he will end up destroying the entire city. Issei released a roar to the sky as the black energy increasingly surrounded his body. Matsu touched the ground with his katana, then a pillar of earth lifted the brown-haired boy. I turned. Karasuba ran at full speed, climbing the pillar, staying centimeters away from the brown-haired boy. Try not to die from this, Issei. Karasuba made a side cut with the edge of her katana against Issei. Plank. To Karasuba's complete astonishment, Issei stopped the edge of the katana with his teeth, and by applying pressure he ended up breaking the katana, aiming his target at the gray-haired man. Karasuba prepared to receive the impact, but… A blow to the side threw Issei off balance, throwing him to the ground. Issei, forgive me. Benitsubasa was the one responsible for the blow. Issei fell to the ground heavily, opting for a quadrupedal position. He swung at the nearest Sekirei, Matsu's ass. Cuts on Issei's arms and legs forced him to crawl on the floor. I'm sorry about that, Issei, Heihain said. When Issei was about to get up, 4 walls of earth trapped him, crushing him. Haha, the poor guy gave me trouble, said Matsu, tired of using his control over the earth so often. Issei. Benitsubasa tried to get closer. Crack. Issei broke through the stone walls and headed towards the pink-haired girl. When the red claw of his left arm was about to hit Benitsubasa, a wall of ice intervened, blocking the attack and holding the brown-haired boy back for a few moments, giving Benitsubasa time to retreat. I'll help them, said Akitsu. All this happened because of her, so she had to help. Who the hell are you? Asked Benitsubasa, annoyed by the big forward of the brown-haired Sekirei. They're bigger than Kuro's, Heihain said, also surprised by the size. We could focus on the main problem, said Matsu, despite being the only sane man in the place. I don't see how we can subdue him. Karasuba looked at his broken katana, then threw it aside. I think he'll kill us before we can even restrain him. Issei roared again, then pointed his metal claw at Karasuba and the rest. What are you going to do? Heihain asked. I don't know, but I don't want to find out, said Matsu, ready to create a defense. Boss. That strange sound repeated itself over and over again. What is that? Exclaimed Benitsubasa. At the tip of the claw's index finger, a purple sphere the size of a marble appeared. Every time that sound was heard, it increased in size. Shit, take cover. Matsu created a dome of earth that sheltered everyone. The Kitsu created ice barriers to stop the impact. The sphere took the size of a small car. Issei was ready to fire the attack. It was definitely the end for Karasuba. There was no way they could get away with that attack. When Issei was about to fire the attack. Okay, that's enough. Someone appeared and raised Issei's left arm, causing the attack to be lost in the firmament, exploding in the sky. The shockwave from the explosion completely devastated the city, shattering windows and buildings and causing much chaos. Still in disbelief that they were saved, Matsu removed the barrier. Who is he? Said Benitsubasa. Next to the out-of-control Issei was a man with an appearance in his 30s, long black hair, dressed in a black suit and sunglasses. It's not time yet, kid, so a strange emblem appeared on the man's right fist. Sleep a little longer. He threw a punch at Issei. The blow hit Issei's chest. The black aura that covered Issei disappeared after that blow. Issei's eyes stopped glowing red, and he fell to the floor unconscious again. Why do I have to take care of this? Once these 4 wake up they will cause a lot of problems. Plus this one was born with that dragon on his left arm. I wash my hands of it. I don't want to have anything to do with this, said the man, taking out a cigarette and lighting it. Ni-chan over there, take this with one kick. The man sent Issei's body flying. Issei. Benitsubasa caught Issei's body from him. Issei was unconscious, still injured, but not as much as the beginning, but normal now. Pioneers? Karasuba asked with a sharp look. Oh, scary, you are definitely someone suitable to be her partner. Oh, it could be something interesting in the future. The man disappeared and appeared behind Karasuba, pulling out one of her hairs. When Karasuba tried to strike with the saya of her katana, the man had disappeared again. I think this will be enough. In any case, I recommend that you do not let that boy step foot on a battlefield firsthand again. The man prepared to leave. Wait, come back here and explain all this. Heihain lunged to stop the man, but when her claws were about to hit him, the man's body dissipated like smoke. Huh? What the hell? Benitsubasa said, surprised and confused. Karasuba for her part only showed an angry expression when she turned her head. Mutsu had also left. What the heck happened last night? Karasuba asked, so many surprises for just one night. After that, the members of the disciplinary squad in Akitsu took the brown-haired boy to the MBI tower. End of flashback. After being almost killed at the hands of the Sekireis of the southern Ashikabi, Issei did not remember anything of what happened afterwards. It seems that he was unconscious for a week, his body hurt enormously. Even though it was my fault, Benitsubasa did N''T have to get so upset. The brown-haired boy received a scolding for hours from his Sekirei, who scolded him while crying uncontrollably, relieved that he was okay. Heihain also seemed happy that he was conscious, although she didn't show it as much as Benitsubasa. Karasuba was nowhere to be seen, and Akitsu was also happy, although her expression didn't show it. I thought Benitsubasa would send me back into a coma after what happened with Akitsu, said Issei, feeling a slight chill. The day after waking up, still badly injured, he went and talked to Manaka so that Akitsu could join the disciplinary squad. Apparently she managed to react to the brown-haired boy. So after some mild evaluations from Dr. Takami and Benitsubasa raising a fuss, Issei gave Akitsu wings, revealing that she was number 07. Hey, what are those wounds due to? Is Karasuba perhaps a lover of rough hex? A voice was heard behind Issei. Seo-san, keep trying to keep your Sekireis, or are they the ones keeping you? Issei replied. Seo Kaoru, former member of the MBI, 25, black hair and mordant look, he and Takedo were in charge of some Sekireis, also an acquaintance of Issei and drinking buddy at times. So, did a car hit you or something? Seo asked as he entered the hot springs. Who knows, maybe you were unlucky and got struck by lightning. DCH, as pretentious as ever. How life treats you. Better than you apparently. Why did you leave the MBI? That's none of your business, but it's slightly good to see that you're not as empty as before. When I first met you, I thought you were a robot. You think so? I don't think it's different from years ago, said Issei, looking at the ceiling of the onsen. No, everything in you seems to have changed. You are more human now. Issei didn't understand what Seo meant. I'm leaving, talking to you is like talking to a wall. Without further ado, Seo left the place. Issei preferred to remain calm while his wounds healed. This water was doing wonders, but he didn't count on anything. Crack. Suddenly the entire onsen shook violently and began to collapse. Not again, said Issei. He didn't need to ask to know who was responsible. Since something similar happened just yesterday at the Sekirei medical exam. Tower of the MBI. Once back in the MBI tower, Issei, Benitsubasa, Heihain, Akitsu and Karasuba boarded the elevator that would take them to the top floor, since Manaka Hiroto himself called all the Sekireis of the disciplinary squad and their Ashikabi. Issei was in front of the elevator door. His suit had some dirt on it, as well as his hair, a band-aid on his nose, and a few scratches on his face, as well as a cigarette in his mouth. Issei Benitsubasa tried to apologize. Beanie is in trouble, Heihain mocked. Shut your mouth, shouted Benitsubasa. Benitsubasa is prone to breaking things when she's upset, said Akitsu with her typical neutral expression. Now her Sekirei mark was no longer on her forehead, but now in the corresponding place behind her neck. She wears the same clothes as in the manga and anime, only with the colors reverse, the kimono being black and the obi being white. Nobody asked you, busty bitch. I knew it. She's still upset for being the only one who hasn't grown anything in so long. I swear you'll pay me back, Heihain. Meanwhile, Issei and Karasuba remained silent, the latter examining her Ashikabi with her gaze, apparently awakening more fascination in her Ashikabi after seeing him in that berserker state. The elevator had reached its destination. Issei and the rest of the disciplinary squad got out and headed to where Manaka was waiting for them, on the balcony at the top of the tower. Welcome, Manaka shouted from the top of his tower. May I know what you need from us this time, President? I'm a bit fickle today after all. It's not every day that a house falls on you, said Issei, releasing a puff of smoke. Benitsubasa tensed at those words and began to sweat profusely, while Heihain was literally dying of laughter. As you know, with the recent number of Sekireis that have already found their match, it is time to start that wonderful game. So, the disciplinary squad won't start moving until phase 3 of the plan, or are you planning to change the rules? No way, the laws set by this great game cannot be altered, it is just that now it will be necessary for more to be mobilized, we do not want another escape attempt to be made. I see, so that gives us permission to end any potential problems, or am I wrong? You understand quickly Issei-kun, I certainly wasn't wrong to bring you here years ago, your life is better than before, right? By not continuing with your old way of life. I'm not complaining, although I'm still on the mission you gave me, one that has lasted several years. On another topic, is it known who was responsible for the explosion that hit the city? Issei asked without knowing that it was him, the one responsible. At that question, 3 of the Sekireis felt nervous and distressed, praying that the brunette would never become like that again. All the latter wanted to fight the brown-haired boy again in that destruction mode. I'm looking forward to you going crazy again Issei, next time we'll fight properly, until one of us dies Karasuba thought. After a few more words, the group left, taking the elevator again and going down to the floor where the members of the disciplinary group had their respective rooms. You guys go back to your rooms, I have something to check Issei said, pressing a button on the elevator and descending to the garage. All the Sekireis returned to their rooms without saying a word. Hey, Kuro asked Benitsubasa. What's going on? What the president meant by his old way of life. I feel awkward about that too Heihain said raising her hand as if they were in school. Yeah, it's better that they do N''T know about that, it's not that little girls like you should know, said Karasuba continuing straight ahead and entering her room. That old hag, she speaks so arrogantly just for being Issei's first of her Sekirei Benitsubasa shouted, clenching her fist in fury just wait, I swore that I will defeat her and keep Issei for myself. That's impossible, typical of Beanie, talking without thinking Heihain mocked. Shut up Benitsubasa roared with her cheeks painted red, don't you want to stay with Issei? No Heihain turned her gaze, well her cheeks turned slightly red, if it were N''T for her pale skin no one would have noticed. I want to stay with Issei-sama Kitsu said behind them. I almost forgot it was there Heihain said. The Kitsu was very quiet so more than once she surprised those two by getting very close without announcing herself. Maybe we should put a bell on it. Heihain said, touching her head, forgetting she was wearing her claws and pricking herself. You're stupid, in any case, I won't give you Issei neither you nor Kuro. You just feel inferior because of your small breasts, Heihain said lying on the floor. You shut up and bleed out there. I'm not going to let anyone take me away from my Ashikabi, said Akitsu crossing her arms and highlighting her great attributes. You're doing this on purpose, aren't you Benitsubasa shouted. I don't know what you're talking about, Akitsu said, although a slight smile was seen on her lips. Heihain let's go Benitsubasa grabbed her by the neck and dragged her. Where to? She asked herself, not knowing where he was taking her. Let's get revenge with those words they both boarded the elevator and got ready to leave. Akitsu stood there alone not knowing what to do. I guess I'll wait for Issei-sama to return to his room. On the other hand, the brown-haired boy was wandering around the city in his red convertible. What the hell is happening to me? Issei wondered, since the incident, he has been having strange dreams where everything was black, then a sea of flames consumed everyone, a gigantic creature tried to talk to him, but before he could listen he got up. Am I going crazy? Uncertainty and a strange feeling were harbored by the chestnut tree, without knowing that in a not-so-distant future, something unknown to him will come to claim his life from him. Somewhere. In a very remote place in the world, certain individuals were discussing a recent event. You must stop assigning me these jobs, those 4 are beginning to show their true potential, especially that one said the same man in the suit who stopped to say. Ho ho ho, without a doubt their development exceeds my expectations, soon you will not need to continue watching them, since soon they will, by their own decision, seek their power, in the meantime we will watch these 4, said a bony being wrapped in a blue tunic, with large horns, whose empty sockets shone in blue flame. By the way, I brought you something that might interest you the man took out a bag from his clothes with 2 hairs, one brown and one light gray after all, you always have to have a plan B, right? Ho ho ho, you certainly know how to do your job the skeleton taking the bag and holding the light gray hair with his skeletal fingers a magnificent specimen, it's as if this being was born with the purpose of becoming his partner. I thought the same thing those 2 are angels of death. Something unknown was brewing, an evil would be unleashed on the world and no one knew when or how to stop it. Extra of the chapter. In a castle, there were the Sekirei and her Della Ashikabi who escaped from the Sekirei project and are now in a prison in the same castle. The girl woke up first when she saw that she was in a room. She got out of bed, suddenly a man's voice was heard. Fukuku, finally wake up young lady said to a silver-haired man with a goatee, he was wearing a king suit and had a smile full of evil. Huineers? The Sekirei asked. I am your savior who helped you when you were being attacked by the renegades the man replied. What happened to my Ashikabi? Unfortunately, he was killed. She was in shock that her Ashikabi was killed, she started crying, and the man encouraged her to keep going. "Thank you for telling me those words of encouragement," said the girl. "Out of curiosity, what do you call yourself, young lady?" the man asked. "My name is Kuno, number 95 Kuno," she responded, now identified as Kuno. "Oh, I see, Miss Kuno. I would like to know why you fled Tokyo with your partner." Kuno wouldn't be sure to trust that man, but he saved him. "Don't worry if you don't want to tell them," said the man. She starts to react again, perhaps she found love again. Kuno, without thinking, kisses the man to give her wings again. "Now you are my Ashikabi, excuse me, could you introduce me to her name?" asked Kuno. "My name is Risivam Livan Lucifer," he replied. "It's a good name, Risivam-sama." "Well, Kuno, I have to attend to matters, so sit down at home." Risivam left Kuno's room and was now heading to his throne and began to laugh. "Ahahaha, stupid girl fell into my trap and I was the one who killed her, pathetic human," said Risivam. Suddenly one of his most loyal men enters. "Excuse me, Risivam-sama, what are you going to do with the girl?" the strange man wondered. "She will be useful in the near future and she also has a very interesting power," said Risivam. "As you tell me, my lord." Chapter 4. The Final Phase Part 1. Darkness. Death. Pain. I didn't know where the hell I was. No, I had already subconsciously. I've seen this place several times in the last few months. A dark wasteland where not even the slightest ray of light reached. For hours and hours I walked and walked, not finding the slightest sign of life. "Accept your legacy." The mournful voices sounded again. I had heard them hundreds of times, which indicated only one thing. Accept your legacy. Corpses, dead people, corporeal figures of all the people I murdered rose from the ground, putrefied bodies, crawling towards me. I run as fast as I can. Did you expect me to do anything different? I'm just human, I'm not armed, there's nothing that can do something like that. Kind of ironic when you think about it, after all, I did work for BSAA for half a year, I've encountered creatures like this before, but that's a different story. I run and run, I don't understand why I didn't get married despite running for hours. But at a certain point, as often happens, they catch me, using their putrid hands they begin to pull me down, trying to sink my body into the ground, while repeating those same words over and over again. I try to resist, pulling my body as best I can, using my hands to break their bodies. I try, but as always, it's useless. Their grip is very strong, little by little they begin to drag me to hell, but that's not the worst. The worst part, it's just beginning, they show up. Accept your legacy. As if a dark mud began to fall from the sky, showing these four figures, the four figures that always drag me to the depths of the abyss. Akashi, William, Shuang, Boris, those four of them, the people with whom I managed to understand each other better and be able to call them family. Then it happens, today I am taken to a very deep darkness, it feels like I am drowning in a black sea. Negative feelings begin to come to me, resentment, fear, hatred, frustration, apathy. The first few times I tried to get out of there, but sooner or later I understood that there was no way out. Why was I trying? Wouldn't it be better if I just died and that was it? Leaving me prisoner of my own feelings, let that darkness do with me what it wanted. Ah, you are certainly pathetic, what a fellow I got, I had more hope in you than my previous bearers. The voice I had heard before on several occasions, although I was never able to see who it was. Flush. All that darkness disappeared, a sea of flames covered the whole place, the sensation of floating left me confused for a few moments. It seems that those damn oppressions that prevented me from contacting you began to give way, exclaimed a gigantic being. I opened my eyes wide, in front of me was a large creature, with a reptilian appearance, no a dragon, it was a dragon that was in front of me, with an intense red color and green eyes like emeralds. You want to die, you want to end your life already, don't you think that there will be those who regret your departure? You are a pathetic person, to think that my current carrier would want to die simply by seeing the sins that I have committed. It would be better if the white man appeared and ended this once and for all. I was extremely confused, what the hell was this thing saying, white? Who the hell is white? Stab. Before I could think, a dark matter that had taken the shape of an arm had pierced my chest. I could see how that matter had my heart in its hand, which was bleeding and palpitating. What had happened? I asked myself. Someone had attacked me from behind, that was for sure. I weakly turned my head to see if I could see who my attacker was. Open my eyes even more if possible, it was the one who had killed me. I managed to stammer from my mouth while quantities of blood came out of it. Accept your destiny. With those words, that dark form that had my appearance crushed my heart and with its fangs, it took a piece of flesh from my neck. MBI Tower. I woke up agitated, my body soaked with sweat. I checked the place with my eyes. It was my room in the MBI tower. Next to me was Karasuba, my first Sekirei, completely naked like me. It was already a custom that when Karasuba got excited after killing, she would come to look for me to release some of the lust that invaded her body. After getting so excited, on rare occasions Akitsu would join us. And it will be a special between the three of them. It's not like it bothered me, every now and then it was good to release some stress, plus it helped me sleep a little more comfortably. But sleeping was the problem. Night after night I had that same dream. This was beginning to affect me. I was trained to endure anything. My body is more resistant. Poisons have no effect on me. I can withstand electric shocks without much problem. But this my mind was beginning to crack. Slowly and without waking up Karasuba, I got out of bed, put on just my boxers, and after opening a mini bar in my room, I took out a bottle and began to drink it as if there was no tomorrow. Pathetic, trying to solve my drinking problems, I looked out the window. Flying over the sky was Counton, the place where the final of the Sekirei project would take place. 7 Ashikabis who won the Jinki were chosen to carry out the final phase. 2 Sekireis will go up there, and only to come down as the winner. The 7 Ashikabis along with our Sekireis will fight on the island where it all began, Kamakura Island, that is where only the last 2 will remain. So it's time to finish, huh? I asked myself while taking another sip from the bottle. Yeah, drinking again. You've been drinking a lot lately. I heard a voice behind me, as well as arms that held me by the neck. Did I perhaps have another dream? Yes, what are you doing awake? I thought that you, my dear, would save your energy. Tomorrow begins a great fun for you. I feel refreshed, as my Ashikabi you served to help me refresh. What's wrong? Did the mice eat your tongue? Tell me, Karasuba. Once the Sekirei plan is over, whether you win or not, that simply doesn't matter. What are you going to ask me for something? We have. Once this job, no, my last job is ready, take my life, it won't be an impediment for you, right? After all, you're just using me to get here. May I know what you're thinking? Karasuba's eyes showed annoyance. Did I make her angry by asking this? What's wrong? Did you get angry? I don't think you value me enough to be upset because I want to die. I don't give a shit what you do, I just can't let you die. Or do you forget that all Sekireis are linked to our respective Ashikabis? I know, but the president probably already has some kind of contingency plan for when the project ends. You're pathetic, there is nothing left of that boy I found in China. I'm going to my room. After saying that, Karasuba grabbed her clothes and left. Certainly I have become pathetic. The next day, the entire disciplinary squad was waiting near the port. I'm bored, so bored, complained Benitsubasa. We've been waiting in this place for 5 hours already. How much longer will we have to stay here doing nothing? Relax, Benitsubasa, said Issei, approaching his Sekireis. Issei. Can you feel it, the wind? It means a typhoon is coming. It seems the water is quite unsettled too, so it seems the estimated time of arrival was a bit miscalculated, explained the brown-haired boy. I'm sure the boss will call if there's any movement. Ring. See? Talking to the devil. Issei said, to get away a bit and receive the call. Yes. This is Hyoudou, of course yes. Have you deployed your private army in preparation for his arrival? Wow. While Issei received instructions from Manaka, Issei's Sekireis waited. If you're so bored, how about I tell you a story while we wait, said Karasuba. What? How unusual is your Kuro? Huh? Story? Benitsubasa exclaimed, surprised by the gray-haired girl's reaction. This happened while you were still sleeping in the MBI, Karasuba began to tell. I see. For their part, Benitsubasa and Heihain listened to the story. Oh yeah, you were almost destroyed in your dream because a Jinki got out of control the other time, did you know that? And no, you didn't know, nobody told me that. What happened? Exclaimed Benitsubasa in astonishment. There was an idiot human who sacrificed himself to save the rest of you, and all I did was personally go and deliver his Daella memories of Ella to her. Daella, commented Karasuba, having a slight flashback of the past as she continued telling the story. She arrived at the Asumo Inn, delivering Dr. Takedo's lab coat, only to be nearly killed by number 1. I didn't know what had happened. When I came to my senses I was half dead. Actually I'm lucky to be alive, commented Karasuba with a typical expression. Kuro? Half dead? Benitsubasa couldn't believe what she was hearing. Forks. I let my guard down, and that happened when I already had my wings, but thanks to the MBI's regenerative medicine, only a scar remains from what happened that day, Karasuba commented, laughing. For her part, Heihain felt both scared and confused by the gray-haired girl's actions. It was very exciting, the fear, the pain. I want to be able to feel it again. However, the person I really want to kill now is the image of Musubi, came to Karasuba's mind. Oh? Wait, who? Tell me, exclaimed Benitsubasa. You'll know soon enough. Good if you managed to survive until then, of course. Karasuba noticed. I'm finally here. The land mass was beginning to approach from the sea, an island of considerable size. It's Kamakura Island, said Karasuba, then set her sights on the floating island. Countin' the god can't see us from the heavens, well we Sekireis kill each other on this island under the heavens, let's begin the end. A disciplinary squad was set in motion. After boarding a military helicopter they were all taken to Kamakura Island. After a short trip, they had already touched solid ground. Getting off the helicopter, Issei and the rest of his Sekireis could hear some voices, the other participants. Benitsubasa recognized a voice and headed towards that place. When he arrived he saw someone who caused him a lot of trouble in the past, and he easily surpassed her. Number 88, you're dead, I'll kill you right now. Benitsubasa turned to see her. Ashikabi, it's okay, right Issei? I can do it, right? Benitsubasa exclaimed. Haha, you are so impatient, Benitsubasa, but the president has not given us the signal to start yet, commented Issei with his typical fake smile expression. Hello everyone, Issei greeted the rest of the Ashikabis. Issei was already beginning to feel the effects, as were the rest of the Ashikabis. Some collapsed to the ground feeling dizzy. Oh? What's happening? Benitsubasa exclaimed to turn around and see that Issei was also collapsing. Both Akitsu held him since Heihain couldn't catch him due to her claws. Damn, that's going faster than I expected, Issei commented. Let me explain. The loudspeakers on the island began to broadcast the voice of the MBI president. Because this island has been exposed to Jinki and Sekirei for so long, it has a special characteristic. Normally, activating the core of a Sekirei or Jinki requires certain rules to be carried out, but those rules do not apply here. In other words, this island is constantly emitting a certain energy. Those who have a Sekirei core, the Sekirei and conversely regular humans, are immune to this energy. However, when this energy is exposed to those who possess some properties of the Sekirei core, that is, the Ashikabi, its effects are the same as poison gas. In short, the lives of the Ashikabis are being drained from their bodies by being on this island, and eventually. President. What did you say? Don't joke, exclaimed Benitsubasa to see Issei. Hey, it can't be Issei no, exclaimed Benitsubasa, shaking Issei. Calm down, Benitsubasa, naturally there is a way to stop the process. The key to survival is the Jinki. I hope everyone remembered to bring theirs. Now the final stage begins. Let's start with the first part. The great blow illuminated the sky, then numbers 1 to 8 appeared. Altogether, there are 8 points around the perimeter of the island that are part of a system that I have created to nullify the effects of the poison. Each number in the sky represents a point, and each system is activated with a Jinki. Observe the number engraved on your Jinki. All the Ashikabis check their Jinki number. The number on each point and the number on each Jinki corresponds to where a specific Jinki must go. Everyone must go to the point numbered the same as their Jinki, and there they must put their Jinki in the designated place. We have to hurry up, otherwise, Issei exclaimed Benitsubasa tearfully. However, the process must be performed by an Ashikabi, otherwise the Jinki will not activate. And one more thing. Wanaka paused slowly before speaking. The island's energy will not dissipate unless the Jinki are installed in all 8 locations. By the way, they will not be able to use the Naruto under these conditions either. Issei realized that Manaka was taking a long time with this explanation. Come on, there's no time to relax, your Ashikabi's life is being sucked out, even as you stand there, my bad. This speech took longer than expected, hahaha. The important thing is that Ashikabis don't have much time, so all of you will only last about 5 minutes. Everyone was ready to place their respective Jinki, but they remembered that the north had 2, which were the Jinki number, which were very far from each other. Everyone except Issei was staring at the northern Ashikabi. Everyone was wondering how they would get out of this. No, if you're looking for another Ashikabi, there's one more right here. Wanaka appeared in front of Minato, the Ashikabi of the north. Did he want to help his son? Issei thought. Tsusashi-kun, one of the Jinki you possess, belonged to the MBI in the first place. It doesn't matter now because you have it in your hands, but the responsibility of that Jinki still falls on me. I will take Jinki number 8 to its place. Now give it to me. After a few words, the Ashikabi of the north gave him the Jinki. After taking the Jinki, Manaka collapsed just like the rest. Testing 1, 2, 3. Since I am also an Ashikabi, I have the same risks as you, and with that, number 88 fist fighter Musubi-kun, would you lend me your monster strength and take me to location 8? After a few brief words, Manaka was taken by the 88th and 09th lines to the designated location. I'm surprised to see the president acting like a father, Issei thought. Even the president is here. That person is really interesting, should we go too? Karasuba commented. I'll take his, Issei, commented Benitsubasa nervously. Only to see Karasuba ride on Issei's shoulders. Well, let's go, Mu-chan, see you soon. Karasuba said goodbye to the young Sekirei. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And somehow all the Ashikabis managed to place their jinki in the right place at the passage of 5 minutes. Ah, the discomfort has already passed. What kind of poison could it be? My body is already immune to any kind of poison, Issei commented quietly without his Sekireis being able to hear them. We barely survived, huh? I won't let you die, Issei. I will never let you die again, exclaimed Benitsubasa, being imitated by Akitsu and Heihain. Blush. Pillars of light trapped everyone, the Ashikabis in their respective stations. Everything has happened as the MBI expected up to that point, the following continues. The slaughter, said Karasuba. In the distance, behind the mist that dissipated the island, 2 figures began to be seen. Karasuba recognized the Sekirei from a few days ago, dressed in Maiko clothing carrying a naginata. Without holding back, Karasuba was already ready to start the slaughter as she herself said. So, you're my first opponent. If I remember correctly, you're number 87. The first time I saw you was during the invasion of Kamakura Island, alright, where you were kidnapped by a useless human, Karasuba commented, looking at the Sekirei with eyes full of contempt. That day the disciplinary squad left the island to protect the bodies that had just finished their adjustments and were being transported to the imperial capital. That was how everything happened with its military power. The MBI occupied the island and modified the exterior to make it a ship and established its new Sekirei adjustment building. The Sekirei chamber. At that time there were many MBI researchers and 2 Sekireis with bad luck, those were number 87 and number 88. Karasuba began to remember that day. How the investigators were killed and how they tried to force information out of one of the Sekirei by destroying her core completely. He as Yum tasked her with rescuing her, extremely boring, and how he couldn't stop Yum from giving her core to the broken Sekirei. It's an old and insignificant story. Karasuba-sama, I was afraid of you. I still am not, even though I am like this. The Sekirei spun her naginata and pointed the edge of it at Karasuba. Who am I now? Since that day, I have hated you. I am not just any weakling. I have met my destined person and as such, I have lost all doubt. I am here to destroy the darkness that is within you. I have come to defeat you. I will pierce you with the feelings of my blades. Interesting, I think I'll play with you then. It's a good warm-up at least, said Karasuba, taking a step forward, unsheathing her katana. Sakuhim Kusa no my blooming princess battle dance. As she swung downward, a sharp blast of air shot out towards Karasuba. Karasuba simply swung her sword sideways, cutting through the taste of air. Karasuba noticed something approaching at high speed. Clank. The blade of Karasuba's katana and the tip of Keiho's naginata jumping right over Karasuba. Suwamono no mai Hyaka warrior's dance. 100 flowers. A flurry of several high-speed stabs against Karasuba. Moving his sword he managed to repel all of them, except one that cut his cheek. Issei and his other Sekireis watched the fight. Hey Kuro, why are you taking so long? I can give you a hand if you have a problem, commented Benitsubasa. I'll kill you, Karasuba said in response, causing Heihain to mock the pink-haired girl. This is my prey, if you touch her I'll kill you. The encounter continued. Keiho kept throwing blow after blow with her naginata, but Karasuba easily managed to repel them by pressing her with her defense. Keiho, Naruto, let's fight together. The voice of the Ashikabi of number 87 was heard. Yes, Keiho backed up to where her Ashikabi was. For her part, Karasuba, rather than feeling intimidated, felt excited and went on to say a few words to Issei. Did you hear, Issei? We'll have to answer that challenge, right? Yes, Issei answered, which provoked the anger of Benitsubasa, the mockery of Heihain to the pink-haired girl, and the dissatisfaction of Akitsu. As you wish. Karasuba approached Issei, then placed her hand on her brunette's cheek and brought her face closer to her, joining in a kiss, from which skeletal insect wings emerged. This is the edge of my prayer, exterminate the sworn enemies of my Ashikabi. Both Sekireis were ready for the final attack. Keiho was the first to launch herself against Karasuba. Sekirei Kagura Hyoku no Mai Sekirei's Grand Prix. Dance of the Lovers. Mei no Tachi Kaon Broadsword of the Underworld. Eternal Fury. The attacks of both collided, devastating everything in their path. NGH Keiho was putting all his strength into this attack. Have I? Karasuba was surprised. Am I being pushed back? Why? Karasuba was in shock, perhaps she was being surpassed. High as swinging her naginata, Keiho's attack increased in intensity. Karasuba was thrown and caught by the attack. In the distance the haori she was wearing and her hair could be seen lying on the ground. Karasuba-sama, this is our strength, the strength of those you consider useless, the strength of the bonds between humans and Sekirei. This is. Stab. Karasuba had appeared behind Keiho and pierced her in the chest with her katana, forcefully removing her sword from the Sekirei's chest, smearing the floor with blood as she waved her weapon. Number 87 Keiho, I think I'll remember it. It's been a while since I had to get serious. It was fun. It was Keiho's defeat of her. Karasuba won using all her power, although with minor damage, some cuts and part of her hair was cut. Karasuba approached where her Ashikabi and fellow Sekireis were. Hey, good job Issei commented. He held you back for a moment, right? What's wrong? Your skills must not have worked with Naruto. Wreck. Karasuba lost control for a few moments and squeezed Issei's neck, while Issei continued to look at her in the same way, disinterestedly. Oh, right, this is what you want, right? Killing you is not allowed. Karasuba released Issei's and walked away a little. Kuro, what was that? Issei, are you okay? Issei exclaimed. Benitsubasa very worried. Although it was only for a brief moment, being forced back by someone inferior, Issei commented, rubbing his neck. Of Ella. Karasuba, that was probably because we are empty. Attention everyone, attention, we've already had our first chance. Wanaka reported from his control post of Ella. The image of the defeated Sekirei and her de Ella Ashikabi was projected in the sky of the island. The winner was our Hyoudou Issei, and the winning Sekirei are the disciplinary squad quartet that leaves 6 Ashikabis. I guess by now, the remaining fighters have already found their opponents, right? Current. A sudden tremor hit the island, something was not happening as planned. Issei along with Benitsubasa, Heihain and Akitsu began to move. Karasuba followed them from afar. The walls of light have disappeared, Heihain said. It seems that something else is happening, but we don't have time for that. Issei managed to see a battle in front. So he approached and managed to see the Ashikabis of the north and south, Sashashi Minato and Higa Izumi. Hello, are you the only ones left? Issei asked. At his sides his Sekireis were ready to enter combat. Issei, you wouldn't mind if I took care of them, right? Exclaimed Benitsubasa, clapping her fists together, extremely irritated. Yes, I think it's okay. The wall of light disappeared and we have no new orders, so it would be normal for it to become a launched battle now, right? How can that be normal? Minato exclaimed. Heihain, Akitsu, the boy from the north is mine. I'll kill you if you touch him. I understand now. I won't get involved, Akitsu said with his typical emotionless expression and voice. Are you okay with that, Kuro? No meddling, are you okay? For her part, Karasuba looked into the distance without paying the slightest attention to Benitsubasa, with a lost look. Amma, don't ignore me. Karasuba has been like that even since he defeated number 87. Heihain, Akitsu, take care of the boy from the east, don't let him get in my way. He understood, Heihain replied. Akitsu just agreed. Heihain and Akitsu pay attention to the Ashikabi of this and its Sekireis. This, you've overstepped the boundaries of the rules a little. We or just Benitsubasa have been at their limit too, at the limit of their patience, haha, and I am going to cut you and your Ashikabi into little pieces. Get ready, said Heihain, licking her blades. At ready, the air around Akitsu became extremely cold. The Sekireis of the east prepare to fight. On the Benitsubasa's side. The first time was on the bridge, then it was in the third stage. This is the third time we fight. Benitsubasa was upset. It's time to make him pay for everything you've done. It's a real shame that number 88 isn't here, but it won't make a difference as long as I kill the Ashikabi. Benitsubasa launched herself against the Ashikabi of the north. Aksashashi, the Sekirei in black robes, stood in the middle of her to protect her Ashikabi. Gekishin extreme earthquake. He hit the ground with his fist. The entire ground broke, sending large stones into the air, targeting the Ashikabi of the north. Anu no Kabe, wall of flames, creating a wall of fire. The black-clad Sekirei melted the stones that were going in her direction. Benitsubasa found herself surrounded by large flames, but more than worrying her, this only made her more furious. The same move won't work on me twice. Funsai spray, clapping with both hands, sending a blast of air that put out the flames. NHG momentarily blinded, the black-clad Sekirei didn't see how Benitsubasa passed her by and headed towards the fallen Ashikabi. Issei is going to win, die now, being just a few centimeters away from landing a blow. Kumai, a kick bear kick descending from who knows where. Sekirei number 88 Musubi joined the fight by giving a strong kick to Benitsubasa's face of her. Benitsubasa received the strong blow that shook her for a few moments, then stood up in a fury. For her part, Karasuba was beginning to enter a state of loss of control, almost being defeated by a weak opponent. Remembering the words that the Sekirei of Fate Yum told her, everything was beginning to make her explode. I was supposed to be the one to kill you, but you left on your own. You said that I didn't understand anything because I don't have my wings yet. Why would I lose against a weak opponent? He stammered, bringing a hand to his face, clenching his katana tightly. Kumai, kick bear kick. Karasuba turned in the direction of that voice, seeing with bloodshot eyes the appearance of Musubi. For his part, Benitsubasa was already in a bad mood and he would not hold back any longer. Shit, that bear, she bothers me a lot. Today is definitely the day you die. Benitsubasa launched himself at Musubi, throwing a powerful punch. Musubi opted for a defensive position and with his forearm he stopped Benitsubasa's blow. Benitsubasa exclaimed, surprised that her blow was easily stopped. For her part, Musubi showed a smile, then spreading her arms, she sent Benitsubasa flying backwards, who landed with her butt near Issei. Are you okay? Issei asked Benitsubasa kneeling beside him. Ah, Issei don't look, said Benitsubasa, feeling embarrassed that the brunette saw her in that situation. Musubi began to say some words referring to love, which only angered Benitsubasa, who quickly stood up to attack the brunette again. What are you talking about? Benitsubasa launched himself at Musubi again, but a wall of flames blocked his way. It's hot, he said, covering his face from the intense flames. Damn it, get out of my way, Benitsubasa shouted furiously at the Sekirei in black. It's bad luck to get your ass kicked and not return the favor, I'll be your opponent, exclaimed Sekirei number 6, Himura. Don't mess with the disciplinary squad. And you should take the Sekirei guardian more seriously, Himura replied. While Benitsubasa faced Himura, Musubi focused his attention on the light gray-haired girl. Karasuba-sama, let's exchange our fists and feelings here on the island where we parted ways for a few moments. Karasuba could see the image of Yumi next to Musubi. The winner will go to Counten. Yumi. Karasuba stared at Musubi, then ha Karasuba began to rule like a madwoman. You really were there, hiding, protecting the pigeon. It's very unfair, it's very cruel, but now you won't escape, Counten. Who cares about that? I was waiting for the moment to kill you. Karasuba's wild ecstasy was dominating her body. She no longer cared in the slightest about the Sekirei plan or the battle, she only and solely wanted to kill Musubi. Unsheathing his katana, he prepares to strike Musubi. Karasuba-sama, what is in front of you? Challenging each other with her fists. The one who is currently in your way is number 88, Musubi. Musubi was moved by the feelings that Yumi left with her, helping to eliminate the pain of the loss of a friend and all the darkness in Karasuba's heart. Karasuba-sama, I am Musubi, please look at me for what I am, hitting the ground with his fist, releasing a great roar that threw stones into the air, blocking Karasuba's view of her. Jumping, Musubi placed herself behind Karasuba and kicked her. Karasuba ducked and countered with a slash from her sword, which passed very close to Musubi's stomach. The destined confrontation of both Sekireis, no of those 3 Sekireis had begun. On the other hand, Heihain was taking care of the Sekireis of the eastern Ashikabi when her eyes caught a certain blue-eyed blonde. N-09, you threw me into the river, I almost drowned, I haven't returned the favor. Heihain decided to face the Sekirei of water to get revenge for last time. Where do you think you're looking? The southern Sekirei launched herself to attack Heihain, a serious mistake. Zankaku no Tsume, killing claws. Heihain used her attack to damage the southern Sekirei, who crossed her arms to resist the blow, even though she was severely damaged. Then he launched himself at the blonde. Number 09, said Sergeant. The disciplinary squad. Tsukiyumi put aside his Ashikabi to begin his fight against Heihain. They both looked at each other with hostility, ready to kill each other. What no one knew was that the East was planning to launch a powerful attack against the North and the disciplinary squadron. Number 09, you're dead, Heihain said. Despite Heihain's appearance, she was very spiteful. Heihain lunged at the blonde Sekirei, aiming her claws at her Sekirei's throat. Vizu no Tsurugi, water leaves. Tsukiyumi countered with its own attack. Both attacks collided, destroying what was in their range, but the attack would not end there, the two would continue. Rapaku no Tsume, claw scream. Heihain quickly launched attacks with her claws. Vizunoi water arrows. Tsukiyumi launched several water arrows at Heihain. Heihain countered the arrows at high speed, cutting them one by one. On the other hand, Benitsubasa and Himura continued their meeting. Gikishin extreme earthquake. Benitsubasa hit the ground and threw large stones at Himura. Himura jumped high, dodging the stones and spinning in the air to aim at Benitsubasa. Vacuum fire explosion. The disciplinary squad was in a fierce battle. The only one who did not have an opponent of his own was Akitsu, who had just frozen and defeated some of the Sekireis from the south. But the East's behavior was strange, as if they were waiting for something, Issei thought, noticing the strange smile on Higa. Laser? Minato exclaimed. Then Issei understood, the MBI satellite had been hacked and pointed its laser at them. Issei looked up and saw a glow in the sky. Laser, huh? I wonder if I'll die if it touches me. Issei felt ready to die, his life had already lasted too long, it was better to die now. Laser? Heihain exclaimed, confused. Issei-sama, Benitsubasa and Heihain were the first to jump in to protect the brown-haired boy. While in the north, the water and fire Sekireis prepared a combined attack, which ended in a dragon made of steam. For her part, Karasuba was too focused on her fight with Musubi to care about the health of her Ashikabi. Plank. Karasuba swung her sword at high speed against Musubi, who dodged it, but from time to time a cut appeared on her clothes. Musubi jumped back, then leapt forcefully at Karasuba. Guma no Tia bear palm, a light energy in the shape of a bear's palm, came out of Musubi's hand. Release light energy from your Sekirei crest. That's something Yumi would do. Giving a side slash, Karasuba cut off Musubi's attack. Amazing. Musubi was much more excited than when the battle began. Karasuba for her part was still trying to kill the Sekirei, then she noticed how a mist began to surround them both. Things have gotten a little noisy around us. Are you worried about your Ashikabi? Musubi asked. Karasuba stood still for a few moments, but she responded. Oh, right, I won't be able to continue fighting if my Ashikabi dies, so yes, I'm worried, which was a lie. Karasuba didn't have the slightest interest in Issei, which decreased when she heard that the brown-haired boy wanted to die like a corbeille, don't you? I have faith my friends will definitely protect Minato-san, so I can continue fighting here without any fear. It's not like you're fighting alone either, right? Karasuba looked confused at Musubi's words from her. If as a Sekirei you haven't realized it yet, there's no way you'll beat me, Musubi exclaimed loudly. Darkness, I found myself in this dark place again. Had I died already? Or had I simply lost consciousness again? What's up with that desire to want to die already? The place was covered in flames again, then that gigantic red dragon appeared in front of me again. You again, what do you want? Nothing, it's whatever you want, buddy, I'm simply here in your body. Huh? The dragon's words confused me, inside my body. May I ask, why do you want to die? Why not, he answered, if that was my answer can I do something else? My life has always been about seeing death everywhere. I have killed many people. It is not fair that I finally receive my punishment. That sounded like a typical coward's excuse. Well, call me a coward, pathetic, whatever you want, I just want this to end already anyway, I haven't gotten anything good out of this life. No, because from what I've seen, he has 3-4 important things to protect and they are next to you. What things? I have nothing to protect, I'm just a pathetic person who got tired of living. I lowered my head, the darkness began to envelop me again. Since when do I have to do these jobs? Get lost, you scum products of resentment, spitting some fire on me, the dragon burned the darkness that surrounded it. Listen carefully because I'll only tell you once, your life has been shit, I know, but it's not time for you to die yet, we always die against the white, out there are those who need it most, and those who you needed most, stand up tall with a demon, we are the Sekirei, the red celestial dragon emperor, if we have a problem, we solve it ourselves, we never run away. The place began to light up, I was awake, Sekirei. Many unanswered questions began to bombard me, as I came back to myself, I managed to hear the last words the dragon said to me. You and that girl Osa are the only ones who can remove the darkness in her. Issei, are you okay? Issei exclaimed Benitsubasa, worried to death at the brunette who still hadn't woken up. Opening his eyes slowly, Issei came back to his senses, seeing himself inside a small ice igloo that was melting rapidly. Benitsubasa, Akitsu said Issei. Sorry, the hot breeze from the steam hit me a little, but are you okay? Does it hurt anywhere? Benitsubasa exclaimed, examining the brunette with her gaze. For her part, Akitsu, seeing that the brown-haired boy woke up, managed to relax a little and, still tired after using a lot of her ice, she cooled the atmosphere a little. Outside the small igloo, Heihain was in charge of cutting the steam with her claws. Laser beam spread with the steam dragon, we're in the center a lot of hot breeze, but you won't hit Issei anymore, I'm going to cut an opening, I'll burn a little, but as long as Issei is okay, Heihain exclaimed, sweating profusely, waving her claws everywhere, cutting the steam in the air. Damn it, they should have been the ones to save us, I'd rather die than thank them, Benitsubasa shouted. From his past Issei, he looked dejected, as if he regretted not having died with that attack. Oh, I didn't die. I wouldn't let you, Benitsubasa shouted, surprised at the brown-haired boy. What about Benitsubasa? Issei, I will never let you die, do you understand? I will not let you die, exclaimed Benitsubasa, releasing some tears. Benitsubasa. Then, a sudden pain affected Issei's chest, but it didn't feel like pain, it was something different. My chest hurts. Oh, I get it, this pain, it's the same pain you're feeling. Issei Sekirei stared at him, although Heihain was closer to Akitsu to cool off after being hurt by all that hot breeze. You noticed, right? That I didn't care if he was alive or dead, that this emptiness inside, he must be there too. Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching, if you enjoyed this video please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day, bye.